Gustav?
Verity. And Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Have we met before?
Oh, I think I'd remember.
Of course you would. My mistake. Are you a gambling man, Mr. Bond?
If the stakes are right.
1,000 a point too much for you? Care to place a bet, Verity?
No, thanks. I don't like cockfights.
Shall we?
Excuse me.
Best of 3 hits.
Positions. Ready. Play.
En garde.
Hit. Positions. Play. Hit.
2-0. Do you want to continue?
You want to up the wager?
How much can you afford?
Let's play for this. I picked it up in Cuba. I believe it's one of yours.
My. They do get around. But then diamonds are for everyone. Brilliant specimen. Completely flawless.
And chemically identical to African conflict diamonds.
Then you're about to lose something very precious.
Positions. Ready. Play.
En garde.
Oh, dear. You want to continue?
Of course I want to bloody continue. But since we're upping the wager, let's up the weapon, shall we? Let's do this the old-fashioned way. First blood drawn from the torso.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War.
Shaken, but not stirred.
007 reporting for duty.
These are the 00 Files.
Hello and a warm welcome to all our listeners. My name is Anthony and I will be hosting this podcast in which we will look back at the fourth and final Bond film of Pierce Brosnan, Die Another Day. Fortunately, I won't be doing that on my own. With me are 3 fellow agents from the 00 Files. First up is the founder and chairman of the Roger Moore fan club. All his passwords are based on license plates on the Bond cars, which is quite an accomplishment when you have rotating license plates and invisible cars. His name is Martin. Martin, how are you?
Hello, thank you, very good.
Next up, he knows everything there is to know on poker, baccarat and chemin de fer. He's as tough and resourceful as General Pushkin, but has a weak spot for dear old Aki. It's Tyler.
Good day, Anthony.
Tyler, ready for another podcast?
I am. I'm always ready.
You're dressed for the occasion.
Yes, I did my best this time.
He has a beautiful
Aloha shirt, yes. With a wife beater, so I'm channeling my inner Pierce Brosnan today.
The third Bond fan to join me today is a man of many talents. He knows the films, the books, and the books about the films. Dalton is his go-to Bond, Domino his go-to girl, and Diamonds Are Forever his go-to Hell Bond film. Or is it?
Welcome to Hell Blofeld.
They're all done. Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, before we dive on Switchblades into Die Another Day, I have an introduction question for you to answer. Imagine this. You are a secret agent. Your mission is to infiltrate a military complex in North Korea. But you're caught. You are locked up in a very small prison for the duration of 14 months. Sounds familiar, right? But unlike Bond, you are not alone. During those 14 months, you need to share your cell with one character from the Bond franchise. And it can't be a Bond girl. No, I saw you all smiling. No, it cannot be a Bond girl. So the question is, who would you like to have as your roommate for 14 months and why? You can think a moment for this question.
It might be easier to think about who you don't want to spend your cell with.
It's the first name that pops up.
I think
Tyler.
I would go for one of the mutes. So Locke or Oddjob or Govinda, the people who don't talk a lot. Because if you have some blabbermouth there who just keeps yapping on, then the 14 months will be a long, long wait.
And you aren't afraid he's going to strangle you in the middle of the night?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm Bond, right?
Yeah, that's right. Martin?
I think I'm going to say Karen Bay, because I think he's had an interesting life, so let's hear it. 40 months would be ample time to delve into his life.
Good answer, yes.
Well, when you were posing this question, you said the first name that pops into your
Exactly,
head.
that's the reason why I didn't tell you the question before.
It was Felix Leiter, I think. Maybe from the books more than from the films, but yeah, I'd like to be there with my friend.
And do you prefer the lighter pre or post the
With
dance with the shark?
Let's say without the hook. Well, if it has a hook, we might be able to break out if he can pick the lock, and that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I knew this question was going to come up, so I already thought about an answer, and it was basically the same answer that Martin just gave. I would definitely go for Karen Bay because he had a fascinating life, and now he has 14 whole months to talk about it. So who knows? Time might fly by.
However, he also has a very healthy sex drive. Wouldn't you be a bit...
So has Bond, so...
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Back to the
problem solved then. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but I think I can fight off Karen Bay and not Govinda, so I'm still questioning your choice, Tyler. All right, let's get back to the topic of this podcast, Die Another Day. We will be discussing the 20th
Can we just
Bond
skip
film.
it for today?
No, we can't.
No, we can stop halfway if you want to, before we go to Iceland.
That would be good, yeah.
Let's see. Every now and then I will challenge my friends here at the table with a trivia question. I'm going to do it slightly different from what you're used to, but just let yourself be surprised. Die Another Day premiered November 2002. After an unpleasant holiday in North Korea, James Bond goes to the Falkland Islands to no, he doesn't. In a heartbeat or hard stop, he flies off to Cuba, which is actually Spain, Iceland, which is actually a lot of pinewood, and ends up in the most romantic vacation home there is. In between, he fights Koreans that turn into Europeans, fellow agents that turn into traitors, and a beautiful car that turns into nothing. For the first time, we see James Bond as bearded fellow. Hooray! And kudos for President Boston for that choice. Next to him, we see Hale, I just won an Oscar. Barry as Jinx, Toby Stevens as the disgusting Gustav Graves, Rosamund Pike as the ice-cold Miss Frost, and Rick Yoon as the guy with the expensive acne. In the Whitehall department, we see the return of Judi Dench, Samantha Bond, John Cleese, and Colin Salmon. And behind the scenes, Lee Tamahori is in the director chair, and Neil Purvis and Robert Wade return as writers, and Peter Lamont as production designer. The music department, we see the return of David Arnold as composer, and the title song is performed by Madonna. Production, once again, was in the hands of Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson. Okay, guys, before we dive into the film, I'm going to start with a trivia question. Each of you has a piece of paper and a pencil right in front of you. Like I said before, I'm going to do it slightly different this time around. Every now and then, I'm going to ask you a question, and you will have about, let's say, 15, 20 seconds to write down the answer. Cannot peek at your neighbor.
No peeking.
Do be careful with your notes then.
Yeah. Are you all ready for question number 1?
I am.
I'm going to give you a bit more time on this one. Let's say 30 seconds.
30 questions.
30 seconds. And when I say stop, you need to stop. And I'm going to be a really tough judge on it. Ready, fellows?
Sure.
All right. Die Another Day had a lot of working titles or titles under consideration. Write down as many titles that were mentioned or considered. 1 point per title.
Can we look at notes?
No, Don, you're not allowed to look at your notes. Alright, your 30 seconds are up.
I have 5.
You have 5. Martin?
2.
2.
I think both are wrong, so...
Tyler?
I've just got the 1, and I don't think it was even considered. It was just a rumor to be the title.
Okay, I based these answers on all the things that I read in books regarding Die Another Day or heard in the making of. So let's see. Let's start with you, Tyler, with the 1. If you at least have 1 point.
I have a Beyond the Ice.
That's 1 point for you, Tyler.
Hey!
Can you please write it down? 1 point for yourself.
I will. 17 points.
You must work in education.
Yep, I know. Martin.
I had Icarus and or Solaris.
I don't have them written down here. I'm sorry. And since I am the jury and the judge,
They're both wrong.
0 points
So
for
that's
you.
minus 25 points for me.
Yeah, it's no problem. You'll get,
You
you'll
can
get
still
your
mark your own
revenge.
points. You can also have. How much did you have, Tyler? 17?
17, yeah.
I'll just
Don,
mark
you
17.
you wrote down 5
I wrote
answers.
down 5, but I'm going to check them. I also had Beyond the Ice.
Okay, that's 1 point.
I had 38th Parallel.
It was parallel 38, but we'll agree on that.
Okay, thank
2
you.
points.
For a long time, it was Bond XX
3 points.
or Double Cross, because that was a double entendre. Double
4
Cross,
points.
because that's XX Double Cross 20th film. And I also have Darker Than the Sun,
5 points for you,
which
Don.
was mentioned by David Arnold, I
Yep,
think.
that's
Yeah.
true. Damn, you did your homework.
I did my homework,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
So I'm
hope-
going to mark 17 points.
I wrote down 8 possible answers.
Oh, 8 even. Oh, I
Yeah,
missed it. Okay.
Bond 20.
Yeah, that's not.
Of
that was
course.
just a working title, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
but
It wasn't
my
an
question
actual
was, had a lot of
considered-
working titles or titles under consideration.
But they never
Please pay
really
attention.
considered Bond 20. did
No,
they?
but it was a working title.
But isn't Bond XX Bond 20 as well?
Yeah,
that's
I-
why-
I just wrote it down. I didn't know it would actually
Yeah,
get
well,
Perfect.
Parallel 38, Double Cross, Beyond the Ice, Darker Than the Sun, Final Assignment, Cold Fusion, and Black Sun.
They all
Dine in the Day
sound...
isn't so bad.
No,
I agree.
Most
I
of
do.
them sound
Double
like
Cross is
V-thrillers.
kind of cool, but
Okay, now are we ready to dive into the film? Prior to this podcast, I need to mention, I asked all of you to name the best and the worst aspect or element from Die Another Day. And you all wrote something to me. And I mentioned it because we're going to kick off with a gun barrel scene that features a CGI bullet. And before I'm going to give you a chance to say something about it, for me, this represents the main problem of Die Another Day, the worst part of the film, that is too much and badly used CGI. I'm very curious what you think about this.
Well, I have thought about it quite a bit because it's one of the first films that they use CGI, one of the first Bond films that they embraced CGI. And I don't like the bullet because it doesn't make any sense. How can you actually shoot up a gun barrel?
yeah, but how can you put a camera inside a gun?
Yeah.
How
it's
can
the
it be
same
blood
thing.
inside
Yeah.
of a gun?
But what I did was I looked at some other films from 2002, and it's not the best of times to make films with lots of CGI. So if you look at the second Harry Potter or Episode 2 from Star Wars, they all have severe trouble with lots of bad CGI.
Yeah.
So I think this is the time in cinema history when we thought we could use CGI for everything. If you look at Lord of the Rings, for instance, in which it's done pretty well, then all of a sudden films thought, oh, we can fix it with CGI.
True.
Wrongly. So you can't really blame the film or the filmmaker. Well, you can, but it wouldn't really be fair because there are a lot of films that came out in this period around
It's a sign
2000,
of the times.
2003, 2004 that have an appalling amount of bad CGI.
But they also used in this film quite a lot of CGI when I think it wasn't even necessary.
Yeah.
Get to that later, of course. And that in combination with what you just said, Don, that the CGI in 2002 wasn't as good as it is nowadays, makes it so distracting for me throughout the entire film that every now and then there is an exciting scene and then I see the bad CGI and I'm
I
out of the
agree. I
moment.
agree with you, but they couldn't have done it better unless they would have chosen not to do it. But that's hindsight. Yeah.
But why is the CGI such an issue when we have bad rear projection, stunt men who look 20 years younger than Roger Moore, even more bad back projection when Roger Moore is skiing? Well, I mean, why is the CGI such an issue if we have all those kind of things?
Yeah, it's a good question. For me, probably because I take those old movies for granted because they were there. Yeah, that's
There
the
you
thing.
go.
That's it.
It's
I know
nostalgia.
it is, and I saw Die Another Day for the first time in cinema, and I was a Bond fan then already for let's say 10 years. So I'm really critical on every little thing that I see, and I'm not so critical about those old films. That's probably the main reason, yeah.
But now, if you look back on it, I mean, it's almost 20 years. It's like, what, 15, 16, 17 years since the film. If you look back on it now...
You mean on the CGI part?
Do you feel slightly more mild towards it? Or are you still as frustrated as you were back then?
No, well, I'm going to keep my cards close to my chest, of course, but I'm a bit less negative about the film than I was, let's say, 10 years ago. We'll get back to that later.
I think the movie has a lot more issues than the CGI.
Yeah, but I think the main problem people have with it is that even when it was like back in 2002, it was a bit subpar CGI. Like even back then, they could have done better. So.
And Lee Tamahori is so proud of it. In every interview, he's like, "Oh, we're doing things that you've never seen before, and
for a reason, Lee. Yeah. For a reason.
In 5 years, we won't be making any movies in the sense that we are doing them now. We will all be using computers." And
is he still making movies? Maybe he was referring to himself. In 5 years, I'm not going to make movies anymore.
He made some real bad films after this one, even.
Triple X, the sequel or something like that, right?
But let's please not go there.
All right. So, the gun barrel, Martin, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I don't mind too much. I don't know. It's just a nice little nothing. I thought it was funny.
So then
there's a lot to like about the gun barrel. There's really a lot to like.
Like for this one time, they can get away with it.
What there is to like is the score from David Arnold.
It has
the way Brosnan walks.
Yeah, in a tux, and the visuals of the gun barrel, his turn, his shot, it's perfect. Yeah. It's just the bullet.
It's the bullet.
Doesn't make any sense. It's like he wanted to make some sort of 3D effect before 3D was a thing. Well, before it became a thing again with Avatar, but yeah. That's it.
Right.
I can forgive it.
Big waves hit the beaches of North Korea, and we see 3 surfers, and one of them turns out to be 007. Would it be great if you were the California girls?
It's the least inconspicuous way of entering a secret compound, I think, surfing. It is Bond for what it used to be, doing a stunt for real at a huge wave. I think it's actually pretty good.
The shot is pretty cool with the 3 surfers in one shot.
Yeah.
I know nothing about surfing, but it looks like a very big wave.
And I was also surprised the first time I was in the cinema, because first you see one of them and think, oh, that's Bond. Then you see the second one, huh? What the hell?
Can't
and then a third one. What?
The wave is called Jaws at Hawaii, I believe.
Yeah.
Whenever I see that scene, as soon as it starts and you see the beach with the barricades on top of it, I always think of Saving Private Ryan or the old Normandy landing on D-Day.
I always think of Living Daylights. That first shot you see
Gibraltar,
yeah.
Oh, that's also a couple of 00 agents. I like also Brosnan's expression on his face. He's more like a commando-like figure, I think, in this part of the pre-title sequence. When he gives this assignment, just with a snap of his finger to one of the
you go there, you
Chinese
do this.
guys.
Yeah.
I will try to be very positive about this movie. So I try to remember and watch for everything that I think is good in this movie. Pierce Brosnan's hairdo in this movie is absolutely the best in his entire run.
Okay, write it down.
That's probably because like a third of the budget went to jail for him.
Yeah, probably.
I have a question something I noticed now more than back in the cinema is that whenever you see a close-up of Pierce, whenever you see his face, it looks as if he's on a studio, and he probably is. And if you look at all his scenes combined, when he goes to Hong Kong, when he goes to Cuba, he actually went to Spain for some of the outside shots. But most of the shots, like here on the beach, it pretty much looks like they shot it inside a studio with back projection. So I was just thinking, I think he just went from set to set to set and pretty much never went anywhere.
He didn't even stand up. He just...
When he's driving his car, it's obviously in a studio. When he's in Iceland, he never went there, I think. It must have been one of the dullest productions for him. But maybe it's the lighting. Maybe it just looks fake and it was shot for real. But especially when he comes onto the beach here in North Korea,
it looks
very much like a studio.
Cool.
And when he has this awesome shot when he runs towards the camera just after they landed, and like the commando stuff.
He takes off his
jacket.
That's
like that.
definitely in a studio.
Or that's Pinewood backlot or something. But quite obvious.
They managed to take over a helicopter. And Bond's plan is to swap places with the baddie Mr. Van Beerk. But luckily for Bond, he doesn't need to swap clothes because he's already dressed in the exact same outfit.
How did he know?
Yeah, that's the question that I had as well when I recently re-saw the film.
I think he has very good intel.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, but why though? I mean, like, if Moon knew what Mr. Van Beek was wearing, he would also know what he looked like, so the whole plan of Pierce taking his place would have been rubbish anyway.
But it does look cool, right?
Yeah, it does.
I love it when he takes off the
yeah,
sunglasses
nice
and he gives a
touch.
little smile. Like, thank you. Aw, that was so good. Yeah.
So Bond enters a North Korean military base, and Colonel Tan Soon Moon, a nice little nod to the novel Colonel Sun, is illegally trading weapons for African conflict diamonds. What do you guys think of Colonel Moon?
I think his introduction is very, very nice when he's kicking the punching bag and he's like, "Get me another anger therapist." I think it's a great gag and a great setup. Yeah,
he has a lot of anger.
He does actually look quite menacing with the whole base, and I don't know, this part I was still very excited.
I agree. You immediately hate the guy. You just see him in like 2 or 3 scenes and you think, okay, he's a real bastard. And I really like you said, Martin, prior to the hovercraft chase, the entire scene, it's really, Bond is in the lion's den and there's a lot of tension and he feels that he's being caught. And I really like the suspense in the sequence.
Yeah, it's well done, I think, yeah.
So, are we going to Bond blowing up the C4? He hid away in the case full of diamonds and jumps aboard the hovercraft.
Yeah, but before he's found out who he is, so his picture is taken by Zhou.
By Zhou.
The world's sharpest phone. Like my phone right now can even take pictures like that from such a
It's
distance.
quite impressive, yeah. And then, in hindsight, we know who he got his information from, but it's sent to him that Bond is an assassin. I find that quite disturbing, actually, because he's not really an assassin. I wouldn't call the character of Bond an assassin. But maybe...
Nowadays, maybe, but not in 2002.
No.
You mean Daniel Craig's Bond?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how, the villains see him. They see him as an intruder who is there to assassinate Colonel Moon.
A stupid policeman.
When he gets his intel, you see a brief glimpse on the phone with Bond, and I like it that it said he had a scar on his upper lip. So they slightly changed that to fit Brosnan's method acting, because he got an actual scar on his face. I like that. Yeah. And what I found really strange is it says license to kill with an S. And that's the American way of spelling it. It really doesn't make any sense why a British database would have licensed with an S. And it comes back all the way in the end when you see Moneypenny writing the obituary or something. License to kill, yeah. And why? I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep on asking questions.
You're going to have to do that a lot, I think, during this podcast.
Okay, good.
Why? Why?
So, Moon and Zhou obviously are both Korean and speak Korean amongst themselves. So if you find out that the guy who's standing next to you is a traitor, why would you then say in English, his name is James Bond, a British assassin? Yeah. That would be the appropriate time to speak Korean, I think.
Yeah. And they're only like 3 feet away from each other, right? You can see Bond in the background just listening. What are they saying about me?
Yeah, but might be me. I don't know. Yeah, I would not say that out loud. Yeah.
We get it in the end as well when Graves meets his father again. Yeah. I don't know you. Okay. Oh, never mind.
So the hovercraft chase. Can I talk a lot about it, but just dive deep into it? What do you guys think about this chase?
The idea was great, but unfortunately they only took it across land mostly. But it could have been a great chase. I mean, you could have gone over sea, over water, over land. But unfortunately, it's just 3 hovercrafts going in a straight line, dodging some trees, and that's about it.
I like the mines. But before they go out the gate, I love that shot when Brosnan, he's machine gun Brosnan again. He shoots up everything, everything explodes all around him.
Hits a rocket with his knees and blows everything
incredible.
up. Yeah.
But then he goes through the gate and he shoots at the controls or something, and the gate closes and the hovercraft just smashes into it. I love that shot. It's really well done.
Yeah. There is just one thing that some other review pointed out, and like I couldn't really put my finger on it before, but now I can. It's like back in the old pre-title days, you'd have like one big action scene and there's one defining, explosion or whatever, and it was just everything you see blows up, like the cars, the buildings, the gates, the fences,
They're becoming
the people.
bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's like thousands of explosions. It's just.
Is it a bit too much here, I think?
Yeah, it's a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's just like throw everything at the viewer, and then you're sort of numb by the end of it.
I agree with you, Todd. I think it's a great idea on paper, have a hovercraft chase, but it's poorly executed. I think there's a bit too much explosions going on. They should have gone over water. I agree. And also, I think some bad back projection as well when they are fighting each
When
other
you
on
actually
top
see
of
the close-up?
Yeah, on top of the huge
That's
hovercraft.
horrible. That looks so fake. It really, really does. Yeah.
Arnold's soundtrack is great though.
Yeah, it
on
is.
this with the big echoey Bond guitar. I love that. That's one of my personal favorites.
In preparation, I also reread the novelization, and I found some interesting stuff. Sometimes I'll look at my notes for the novelization. The first thing I thought of is when Moon said the contribution of America, 1 million landmines or something, and my hovercrafts just float right over them. It's like, really? I mean, wouldn't they just give enough pressure for the mines to blow up? But Raymond Benson actually tried to explain this. So he wrote, Bond knew that hovercraft do not set off mines over which they travel because they produce virtually no acoustic, magnetic, or pressure signatures. Okay, fair enough. I accept it.
Yeah.
And then he later writes, it was a good thing that he, Bond, had logged many hours in a racing simulator at MI6. This was the kind of course one might find in a high-tech video game.
Mario Kart.
Really? Where the only way around deadly obstructions was having well-honed reflexes and the ability to see the obstructions coming at a second's notice.
So I imagine Bond sitting there a year prior to this mission. Okay, let's imagine I'm locked up on a hovercraft and there's a minefield.
But this confirms my entire suspicion of this film, which is this film is made for 12-year-olds. This is made for 12-year-old American boys that
I will
like
come back to
action
that
films.
later. That's a very good one. I'll come back to that. Definitely.
And if you look at it like that, it's quite an enjoyable ride.
I think I was already too old when I saw it in the
Maybe you
cinemas.
took life a bit too seriously.
Yeah, I always was. Okay.
Did you also think that the best parts of the novelization were the bits that Raymond Benson wrote himself?
They were left out of the
No.
film?
Yeah, but there's a bit in where he is in Seoul, for instance, when he escapes.
Yeah,
MI6.
there's a whole chapter.
And there's a scene where I believe Moon is explaining why Miranda Frost became his ally.
Yes,
and stuff
we'll
like
get to that. I have the dialogue written out. It's horrible.
Oh, I thought those were the best parts of the novel.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that somewhere in the end. Maybe it's your memory that's being kind to it.
Probably.
So it ends with a joke I think even Roger Moore would be ashamed of. At the end of the chase, Moon takes a deep dive and Bond rings the bell.
The world's most unconvincing model since Moonraker.
Yep.
How does that work? You have the hovercraft with the big fan at the back, and then Bond somehow jumps out of the hovercraft. He jumps straight up, but it's not hit by the fan,
It'd
obviously.
be minced meat, but it doesn't.
But it works.
But it works. Yeah.
Could have been worse, though. You mean the Saved by the Bell joke?
Yeah, it's a terrible joke.
You know what it could have been, according to Benson?
He had an even worse
He
joke
had a different
than Saved
pun.
by the Bell.
He had a different pun. Saved by the Bell wasn't in there. It said, Bond looked at Moon and said, "You've met your biggest fan, Colonel."
Oh my God. Just when you think things can't get any worse. Okay.
It's just
So yeah,
you can actually hear like people face bombing at the thought of that.
I do like the look on Bond's face when General Moon shows up. He's like, "My son is dead." Yeah, well, so be it.
Sucks to be you.
Let's have a drink. Come on, let's go to the bar.
I have to give Brosnan credit. To me, he really sells as much as he can.
he had
really,
quite a tough job on this film.
Yeah, but I think he really gave it his all. I mean,
He did his best.
It's a great
definitely.
actor with a shitty script. That's what
Yeah.
the whole film is actually.
but he tries to be as convincing as possible.
And I think it's not even the script. I think it's mainly direction.
Yeah, both.
So, what is the difference between the direction? What does the director
For me,
make for choices?
I think that there are certain cuts in there or certain elements in the film that are choices from the director. For instance, a couple of times in the film, he fast forwards the image.
Yeah,
For
the
instance,
speed up and the slow mo stuff.
yeah, the speed up with the car in Iceland.
Yeah, that's more
or-
editing, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's
Or is it
also,
directing?
I think it's also the decision in the end of the director. So that's not the script. I think the script you know, I think you said it as well, Don. They could have made a thriller out of this script as well, instead of a larger-than-life adventure.
I think most of this film, they pretty much fucked up in post-production. Yeah.
What do you
It
think?
could have been better. It could have been better.
I wholeheartedly disagree.
Okay.
I think it went wrong with the casting. I think it went wrong with the writing.
Well, I was gonna,
Everything in between.
I was going to say it's
But
a
I'm
funny
trying to be
thing.
positive.
We have a big fan here.
I don't really disagree
biggest
with you,
fan.
but given the material that we have now, the film as it is, if you look at it, and if you would have this in the editing room, you could very much improve
make it,
upon
yeah.
it. Still.
Yeah, but you'd end up with a movie of 30 minutes.
Well, maybe it would be a lot shorter. Yeah.
I think they made some poor choices regarding casting, but I think it's bad, but it's not the worst part of the film.
So
I
who
think
do you think is worst cast?
Or shall we
No,
get back to
I-
that later, maybe?
I think it's not. So, I don't think it's so much the casting itself. I think it's the writing for the characters.
I was gonna say, it's the second film by Purvis and Wade, and it's the only one where there wasn't like someone else brought in to rewrite their script. And like, I'm not saying it's like a connection there, but and with the now nameless Bond 25 having like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 writers, so it gives good hope. Let me just put it like that. Less of their stuff, the better it seems.
Shall we continue for another highlight of Die Another Day? Oh, yes. Because for the first time, the story continues in the opening titles, featuring the torture that Bond has to endure.
Just
Does
like
he
the
have to
audience.
listen to the song as well?
That was my question. What is this the most brutal torture scene in the entire Bond franchise?
With the scorpions and...
Well, listening
or listening to, the
listening
song.
to Die Another Day on loop for 14 months in a North Korean prison.
Yep.
That's hell. Yeah, that's hell.
I'd have my balls beaten for an hour any day of the week compared to that. Don't worry. Bring it on. Bring on the rope.
But I agree. This is by far, personally, the worst Bond song ever. It's not even music. It's just
It's not
noise.
just the worst Bond
It's
song
just-
ever.
I'm gonna wake up, yes and no. I'm gonna kiss some part of. I'm gonna keep this secret. I'm gonna close my body now. Yes, die another day. Yes, die another day. Yes, die another day. Yes, die another. I guess I'll die another day. Another day. Guess I'll die another day. Another day. Guess I'll die another day. Another day. Guess I'll die another day. Sigmund Freud. Analyze this. Analyze this. Analyze this. I'm gonna break the cycle. I'm gonna shake up the system. I'm gonna destroy my ego. I'm gonna close my body now.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
It was quite a hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was,
I
because
don't know
apparently
why,
if you
but-
listen to it non-stop, it kind of grows on you. But
Like a
not-
tumor.
This is a part I gladly skip over every time.
Yeah, I do like the idea of continuing the story in the titles.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's the visuals. Look at the titles.
The visuals are great.
Yeah.
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 That's it.
So just press mute, I guess, and then that helps.
I read that Madonna said, she was doubting of whether or not to sing a Bond song. And then she said, Bond needs a bit of techno.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Well, there's like techno and auto-tune as well. I'm like, I'm not a Madonna fan of anything, but she doesn't need auto-tune, especially back then. I mean, she can actually sing.
You watched
It's
the
just
Hazard
so-
video, right?
But she just took
I
a
don't know
draft
if it
of
was,
some,
but there's
some
like,
old song.
it's just like there are some Madonna songs I like, and some I'm like, why all the techno and the remixy and the echo and the verbs and the auto-tune, and it just takes you out of it because the scene itself is very brutal and very cool. And
Somebody
Daniel
signed
Kleinman
off on
is
this.
Great, yeah.
Somebody said, "Yeah, this could work."
I can imagine in cinema, when Barbara and Michael see the film for the first time, they look at each other and think, maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all.
Yeah, but
I really
then you
hope
can't
so.
say that anymore.
No, then you're too late, of course.
Most of us agree that reusing the theme song in the soundtrack of the movie is always a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't for this one.
Well, I'm not sure like they didn't because they didn't want to, but I think David Arnold, there was just nothing to work with. It's no coherent, like...
It's a bit there in the Ice Palace, right? When
And I believe the song just wasn't finished when Arnold started writing.
That could as well.
I think it's still not
Yeah, but
finished.
like, there's a lot of songs which have like, you know, like this one main line or a basic riff you can intertwine into your score, but Dine of the Day doesn't have that. It doesn't have like one main tune or whatever. Or
during the entire movie, Sigmund Freud.
Analyze this. But David Arnold actually started writing a theme song himself, but he stopped as soon as he found out that Madonna was doing it. But
Why?
we got some of his cue in the track for Peaceful Mountains of Desire,
Yeah,
I think.
true. Yeah.
And he put some lyrics in another song that eludes me right now.
Was the song No Good About Goodbye?
He
Shirley
put some of
Bassey,
the lyrics in there, But this, the less said about it, I think.
The better,
This is
absolutely.
why, like, you asked the best and the worst scenes. This is my worst scene, not because of the visuals, but like having a bad Bond film is one, but there's no excuse of having a bad Bond film and a bad Bond song. That's just
and the singer in the film as well.
Yeah,
but we'll get back to that later.
I remember what we talked about, The World Is Not Enough, and I really didn't like the visuals because they looked overproduced or very fake-like or game-like or badly done, in my opinion. I didn't like them, but I remember that most of you did like them. But I really like these visuals.
They're
by
very
Daniel
cool,
Kleinman with the electricity
With the ice
and the fire and the
yeah.
ice. Yeah, proper CGI.
All right. So 14 months of captivity and torture later, and we see a man who looks more like Tarzan than Bond.
Well fed, though.
I was going to say well fed and a very nicely trimmed beard.
Yeah. Nicely trimmed beard. I'm
well,
not sure about
I
that.
don't know how my hair would look if I hadn't been showering or using any kind of soap for 14 months, but I think he looks quite good.
I know how my hair would look after 14 months.
Well, it wouldn't look like that. Think about it. He was in the prison for 14 months. Now, normally, how quickly does your hair grow?
1 centimeter per...
Approximately a centimeter per month.
Yeah.
So it should be about 14 centimeters.
It's about this.
It's not that long.
No.
It's really not that long. And his hair was shortest at the back of his head when he was captured. So it can never be longest now at the back.
But the thing
I'm
is...
overanalyzing this film.
Maybe
aren't
it's
I?
a result from... maybe is this a side effect from scorpion venom or so? I don't know.
probably. Yeah, okay.
No, but if we walk outside right now, we can probably, within 5 minutes, we see 5 or 6 people walking around with the exact same look as Brosnan has in, at the end of the torture scene. Yeah, just all he needs is a man bun.
Yeah, very, very modern.
I do think he's a bit overweight, like what you just said, Tyler. And you especially see it later on in the film when he goes to the hotel. You know, for someone who was in prison for 14 months.
I remember reading somewhere that when Brosnan started for GoldenEye, he was lightest of all the previous actors, and by Die Another Day, he was heaviest of all the Bond actors.
He doesn't look really in shape when you see him.
Well, yeah. He was nearly 50. You know, I really wouldn't complain if I...
no, but we're not Bond.
Yeah. But this was also prior to Daniel Craig. So now, all of a sudden, Bond has to be... Hulk-like or rugby player-like.
Yeah, no, but like, look at Roger in Moonraker or For Your Eyes Only. I mean, he's not the world's fittest man.
No,
but he still
he
looks good. No, but he still looks good. I mean, Brosnan looks like he's had one too many Heinekens in this movie.
So after a brief chat with General Moon, Bond is brought to the border. And for me, this is the best scene from the film. The exchange between Bond and Zhou, the prisoner exchange, really reminds me of those 60s spy thrillers.
Bridge of Spies.
Yeah. I really like the atmosphere there and the fog that's there. And then, you know, Bond is walking into nothing. And then all of a sudden Zhou appears. And the score from David Arnold as well is pretty good here. Some kind of hero. I really like this scene.
And the coloration of the movie is really bleak in these first few scenes. It's really, it has that same feel of those 60s.
There is a good film inside this film.
Absolutely.
Somewhere.
There is, yes.
Do you think the shirt that Brosnan is wearing is a nod to his shirt in Dr. No when he comes out of the maze? Because he has also random patches of blood and the shirt is torn
I
in
thought
random
about that.
places.
Like, was that? And I'm not sure.
It looks like the same shirt.
Would be fun.
We should watch this movie and play Bond Bingo once or twice.
There's so many nods.
Yeah, we just pick 8 movies each, and then.
And what I found, because we're 4 Dutch guys, we often struggle with finding the right words or our English vocabulary. You can't sometimes pinpoint exactly what we want to say. But this North Korean general, he really knows his stuff. He speaks English fluently. He uses difficult words. I wrote a few down, like condone or still you jest. defiant to the last. It's like, wow, that's high class English. It's pretty well.
Which is like, just scroll back for a second. That's one thing. Like he says, I don't condone what they do here. I'm like, but yet you let them
you're
for 30
doing
minutes.
it, man. You're
a general. Like I don't condone what they do here, but I've been letting them do it for more than a year.
I think he was talking about the Madonna song.
Okay.
But I also like the fact that Brosnan, or Bond, thinks that he's about to be executed.
Yeah.
The look on his face, when he needs to turn around.
Oh, so dramatic. Very
well acted.
Yeah. Well done.
And I find it funny the way Bond waves to Robinson when he is on the other side of the bridge. Like, chat, hey, hello, I'm here.
I know
A
you.
long time no see. What are you doing here?
And we get a recurring question that I will have during the entire movie. 14 months and Zhou hasn't...
Yeah, he still has his diamonds.
Yeah, why?
Because it looks cool.
Okay. No, in that case...
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I have to agree. I kind of like Zhou. I think he's a pretty good henchman. Yeah, I like the diamonds. It's different. It doesn't make any sense particularly, but... Yeah.
I remember back in 2002 there were these character posters from all the characters of the film. And it was the first time that I saw the character of Zhou. And I was shocked because the poster was a bit bluish, so his face was also a bit bluish, and then he had diamonds in his face, and I think, what the hell is this? Looks like a science fiction character or something like that. But in the end, I think it's pretty cool. I like the...
It's distinctive.
Yeah,
it's different. Yeah.
And the fact that he's halfway in a transition from being a Korean to a European, it looks kind of cool.
I believe it's the teaser poster for this movie, which is a block of ice with a silenced B99.
Right, yeah.
I think that's one of the best Bond posters there is.
Yeah, I still want that one. That's so cool. Yeah.
I really like that one.
So Bond is sedated and gets a medical checkup. I think it's a cool scene.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's
Liver not too good.
It's some kind of Star Trek device which like sends some bluish waves, and then they can measure something.
Yeah.
And, I don't know.
But it got a good laugh in the cinema. When they
it's definitely in then.
Yeah.
It's a nice throwaway line.
Yeah. And he then meets M, who informs him that his status as a 00 agent is suspended under suspicion of having leaked information. Bond is convinced that he has been set up and decides to escape from custody by forcing his body to go into a cardiac arrest.
Yes.
And back for 1 second, we get the weirdest line reading ever, at least in this minute of the movie. We get the, and what do you think of Brosnan? And I think that's one of the weirdest line readings there is. He
turns around because soap opera like he turned away from M while he was speaking to her. And then he turns around, and what do you think?
Yeah, he sounds like a drunk uncle or something. I don't know what it is, but...
the Korean venom that's in his body, I think.
Probably.
Probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks he feels the side effects.
But they make everything so obvious in this scene, right? Like, there is a mole, and I'm going after him, and very explanatory.
Yeah.
But what does M think? There's a missed opportunity here. She says, license rescinded. Would have loved it if she would have said, license revoked. Yeah, that would have been really nice.
But then again, the American audience would have think, what?
Revoked? What?
He's not allowed to drive anymore?
Yeah, but
oh my God, we're not going to see the Aston Martin then.
Yeah, but I think stuff like that would have been like the great nods to previous films.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is like the inside jokes and not just showing off, like copying scenes or.
What do you guys think of the whole cardiac arrest escape?
That's just bullshit.
I had no idea what was going on when I first saw it. It's like, is he...
I thought he had some kind of trauma or something, like some kind of out of pure shock he went, and then I was like, but how did he revive himself?
How do you do that? Yeah. Kiss of life.
It's one of the few things that isn't explained. Because we were assumed to believe that he can stop his own heart.
Mm-hmm. He can lower his blood pressure.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Why?
Because he remembers listening to the song for 14 months.
Yeah, probably. But
there is one thing I do like about this little scene. That's the soundtrack from David Arnold. The moment he
he goes out with the Dr. No Gun Barrel music in there.
Yeah, exactly. So then Bond goes off to some posh hotel in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I didn't like it how he just fell off the boat. He fell off the boat like a brick. I mean, I would have expected a lovely
see him
dive.
come back because of the trampoline. You can actually see a bit of his head popping up back. As
Really?
Well. Yeah, you can. Like, I'll ruin it for you. No, you can actually. Yeah,
I'm gonna
you
watch
can
it
actually
tonight.
See it. Yeah, you can actually like see him
And they
jump
don't
off and then
CGI
boom.
out that part of the film? Okay.
And then here's the chapter in the novelization because the ship is close to the coast of Korea. So he goes to...
Yeah, he goes to Seoul
And then goes to Hong Kong from there.
Yeah, so there's a whole chapter which is completely skipped in the film. He gets to Hong Kong because originally he gets ashore in the book in Seoul. And there's actually quite a nice few scenes that Benson writes there. It's quite spy-like again. He has to steal money. He has to beat up a pimp and everything. And then he bribes his way into Hong Kong by hiding himself on a ship. And he has a weird dream about Colonel Moon. It's quite freakish. It's a whole chapter.
Yeah, he stows away in someone's duffel bag, which I think is...
Yeah, and he sleeps, and when he's on the ship, he sleeps inside a torpedo tube.
Yeah.
Kind of like You Only Live Twice when they fire him out of a torpedo.
I think that was a nice part of the book.
Yeah, but we don't get that here.
Nope.
The alternative scene would have been a lot better as well. I don't know if you guys know. Like they said they wanted to return Michelle Yeoh as Wei Lin.
Yeah.
And the scene was actually like he would get out and meet her in some kind of like fighting his way through some kind of hotel. He would meet Wei Lin again. She'd take him, trust him, make some reference to Tomorrow Never Dies, obviously. Then they drive into a car wash, which would then, on the other side, emerge in exactly the same car. The car would go down with another terrible Bond pun about bristling up security. The car would go down into some kind of garage, and then there would be like this Chinese base underground. There is a message that Bond's on the loose and blah, 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 blah. And that all the other agencies are supposed to look out for him. And then she said, like, I can't really help you, but I can, like, not get this memo for the next 8 or 12 hours. And then she gives him a Beretta, like the same one in Dr. No. And then he's off on his own from there. And he gets a fake passport, and then he goes to Hong Kong. So, like, her role was later sort of divided by Peaceful Fountains and Mr. Chang. Which I would have loved. I would have loved to see, like, well, I really love Michelle Yeoh.
They flirted with this idea more often, right? With Anya as well. They tried to get her back, but...
I really would have liked this one, mainly because the whole story is so much better than just jumping off a poorly done boat on a trampoline and then walking in front of a painting of a skyline and then walking into a hotel.
Yeah. We need the exposition as soon as he comes ashore, and like there's next to a big neon sign saying Hong Kong. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's for the 12-year-old American kid. So he then utterly cool walks through a lobby half naked.
Into a hall,
Already talked about his shape being slightly overweight. Now after a good shave, he looks like our good old James again. Now I have a beard myself, and every now and then I trim it. And I know one thing. Removing a beard, such as Bond has done, with just an electric razor...
a Philly shave.
It's gonna hurt like hell. It's gonna hurt like hell, and your entire face would be red and full of...
You know what I think? I think because he had an actual haircut, I think the barber pre-cut most of the beard.
And he did the
final
This is just
part.
the finishing touch, yeah.
But every time I see him, I think, that's not possible. You
But
can't
he
do it.
looks awesome.
Well, though, maybe he could also like train his hair follicles to go into cardiac arrest and they all just fell out. And it's
They're like 9 different shirts spread out through the apartment.
We interrupt this film for a message from our sponsors.
Yeah.
Bollinger, Brioni,
Philips.
Shave.
There's plenty of product placement.
I don't mind it as much.
It's a nice shot with Bond being Bond again. I don't know. I like the shirts. And
I like the shot as well.
champagne. Like what would you do if you've been captive for 14 months and been wearing the same shirt for 14 months? I think I'd get some good champagne and some nice clothing.
Wouldn't shave my
stuff,
beard though, but
to each his own.
All we need is a man bun.
yes. So Bond gets a surprise visit from Peaceful Fountains of Desire. Whew. How did they come up with a name like that?
Brilliant name.
Do you know it? No. Where is Peaceful Fountains of Desire?
I don't know where they found it. But this is the moment that my wife walked into the room when she decided to spend a few minutes watching the Bond film with me. She's like, is this for real?
Yeah.
Yes, this is for real.
Sadly, yes.
This is a nice part, though.
I like the look on Brosnan's face as well.
I don't understand it, though, because the only reason that she's there is because she wants to compromise him by making a porn video. But as soon as he grabs her, she says, I'm not that kind of masseuse. Yes, you are. That's the only reason
That's
you
the
went
idea.
to. Yeah, that's the only reason you went to his place. But
I have a bigger
plot hole,
issue.
maybe.
Well, talking about plot hole, I have a bigger issue why the manager of the hotel is in Bond's actual closet. Like, what
that's
about...
that's a direct nod to From Russia with Love.
Yeah,
what
no,
they-
but like, be it a mirror above the bed, okay, but why in his closet? Like, what if Bond needs a jacket or a coat hanger or whatever? I just go, no, oh, hello.
Because
Fancy seeing you
it
here.
still is a closet when you see
Yeah,
it.
it's
when
not,
you-
like, so why?
Yeah.
Why? This is like the 17th why in this podcast. It's just...
What I do like is that she has a Beretta. Is that a Beretta strapped to her thigh, like Pam Bouvier's in
I thought
License
it
to
was.
Kill?
At least it's a
I
clear
think,
reference
yeah.
to. Yeah.
I'm not a gun expert.
No, me neither. You knew about all the guns in the books,
Yeah,
but you don't recognize
but
them.
I wouldn't recognize. No, I would recognize the Centennial Airway. But
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, are you ready for another round of
Oh,
trivia
dear.
questions?
No.
Nope.
Then you're shit out of luck. I have 4 questions.
Oh,
here
you
we
have to
go.
write things down.
Yes, you have to write things down.
Okay.
So
Draw, Mr.
you're
Chang.
all going to have the same questions, so you can't say afterwards, yeah, but Don had the easiest questions of all.
Okay, this is fair.
yeah.
That's
he
the
did.
reason why I decided to...
Good that you mix things up again. Yeah.
All right, and the questions are going to be about the scenes we have just talked about. So, question number 1, you're going to have about 15 seconds. Directly after the gun barrel, we are told by a subtitle that we are off the coast of North Korea. What is the name of this coast? All right. Done, stop writing. Question number 2. After Bond is traded for Zhou, he gets a medical check. What is his blood pressure? All right. Question number 3. What is the name of the Hong Kong hotel Bond checks into? A final question for this round. Which year is the Bollinger from that Bond orders in the Hong Kong lobby? All right.
So how do you want to do this? Because if you give the answers, we're all going to say, I had that.
I can see what you wrote down. So, question number 1, the answer is...
Scheveningen.
No, it wasn't.
No.
I said Pinewood.
No.
Well, technically it was.
Puk
but-
Chong.
Puk Chong, that's right. 1 point for Don.
But Don peeked at his notes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Half a point then.
I looked it up on the map. It's on the
Quite
east
next to
coast,
casino.
east coast of Korea.
It's half a point for the preparations done. Second question, the medical check, blood pressure,
180/40.
180 or 40? No.
007.
No.
110 over 70.
No, it was 120 over 80.
Nee.
Yeah. The name of the Hong Kong hotel, Don...
Rubion.
Oh, sorry.
Rubion.
Rubion?
Royal
Triple
Hotel.
X. I didn't know.
Okay, so that's the
I
point for
might have
Tyler.
been mildly
It's because
intoxicated when I watched it filmed, so
was
that's
the-
why I probably enjoyed it.
Okay.
the Ruby anniversary of Eon, right?
Exactly, that's it. Yeah.
Ruby and Royale.
So you also have a point, Don. And the year of the Bollinger, Martin?
62?
62?
1.
67, right?
It's 61. So that's a point for
close.
Don. That makes 2 points for you, Tyler.
Yep.
0 point.
0 for Martin and Don.
2.5.
2.5, so in total of 7.5. No worries, guys. You can get back to him later.
Oh my dear God.
Yep. Okay, accompanied by a kick-ass tune from David Arnold, we find Bond in the land of cigars and classic American cars. He visits a local tobacco factory where he meets sleeper agent Raoul.
Are we just going to glance over his amazing wardrobe?
No, of course
Your
not.
amazing
Tyler.
wardrobe.
Well, in Cuba, you know.
Yeah,
Yes.
please take your moment, Tyler.
Shine.
suede brown chukka boots, a pair of linen trousers, a white wife beater, and an Aloha shirt. Oh, if I could dress like that every day.
You are dressed like it.
Yes, but not every day.
Oh, you should. It's a free world.
Yes, but not that free, fortunately.
You're afraid you might get arrested. He looks cool. He walks around town like he's owning the place.
Yeah.
If someone has a couch that I can borrow for the next couple of months, then I can probably wear this for more than one.
I think he looks cool as well. I think the entire scene where you see him walk down the boulevard or something like that.
Walk across Michael G. Wilson, being very cool in the background.
He's there as well in the background.
Yeah, like the very first shot, there's a guy leaning against the car. Like right in before the school kids walk around.
Okay.
And the guy with the big straw hat just looking like he owns the place because he actually does. That's Michael.
Everybody was freezing their balls off because it was like 12 degrees or something there. I mean, the sun was shining, but that was about it.
They filmed it in Spain.
Yeah.
How did he get there? He got a ticket from Chang to Havana. Is that a plane ticket?
You got a plane ticket,
and a passport as well.
Yeah, a passport. In the book, it's a boat ticket. He gets a freighter to Hong Kong. No, from Hong Kong to Havana. And I couldn't find any boat that goes from Hong Kong to Havana, but a plane is already 23 hours to fly. It's literally the other side of the world. He must be bored as hell.
If you take a boat, you get that 14-month beard again.
Yeah, probably. Probably, yeah. He does a lot of traveling in this film.
And they didn't have podcasts back then to listen to, right?
Nothing to listen to.
Otherwise, I had a small hint for him. Maybe. I like the setting. They didn't film, I think, one single shot in Cuba, but it looks, to me, I've never been to Cuba, but it looks quite convincing.
I like it that he went to Cuba in his first and last film. It's a nice bookended that way.
That's nice. Yeah. And Raoul is another missed opportunity because I remember when I first saw this movie, I was like, oh, here we have another type, Colombo type or a Caribbean Bay, and he's, blink and you miss him. Which is a shame because I like the guy.
There was actually a lot more of him, but it was all cut out for after Bond gets to the clinic, like after he gets back, there's a whole bunch more exposition with
It's a tiny scene now where they talk about the diamonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was like a whole lot more going on before and after that scene.
I also like the sets where they talk to each other. First the rooftop office and later on his
looks very comfortable
real colonial styles office as well.
Study,
Good actor. Fun guy.
Yeah.
So we're off with his Bible Bird of the West Indies to El Gran Palacio Hotel. And before we are introduced to our favorite character...
I was going to say, like in 30 seconds, you got two references again.
Yeah.
Like the book and the car.
Yeah.
They scratched out the name on the book, the James Bond name, right?
Yeah, I've got no idea why. I'm like, that's one of those things that people love.
Probably because
it's just
90% of the audience would think, what the hell is that?
No problem at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, just have it like...
But they really scratched it out, yeah. Well, what not is the car? Is it the Ford?
Yeah, Fairlane Skyline. It's the same one Count Lippy drives. Different color scheme, but...
But I like that gag. I need a fast car.
Yeah.
I've got something for you. I like
music
that.
again. Yeah.
Music, yeah.
I like those kind of gags. I really do.
Yeah, well, it's not less than a gag that you think, because that back in the day, it actually was quite a fast car. So.
And I also like the character
Cuba.
Krug that we were introduced to on the beach because he's just in two scenes, but he's a sleazy bastard.
Fidel Castro.
You just imagine he has only 3 lines or so in the movie, and he just
that guy's probably still enjoying it, thinking back. Yeah.
I don't need a goddamn wheelchair. I liked it. But then, while he's enjoying the local scenery, we see Jinx Jordan arrive. Now, Tyler and Don, you both mentioned Halle Berry's performance as the worst part of Die Another Day, so fire away, guys.
It's not her performance.
Oh, sorry.
It's her lines.
And then the lines, you mean?
The actual words she has to
say. Words.
The other lines are great.
But you can take Audrey Hepburn and she wouldn't make it any better than Halle Berry. I think she does with it what she's given, but wow. Now there's a mouthful. What do predators do?
It's just so bad.
Read this, bitch. Yo mama. She's really disappointed. I mean, the poor lady. You come off an Oscar win and you get this.
Yeah.
Well, would any of you have liked to see the Jinx spin-off movie?
Nope.
No, I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm glad they also didn't try to bring her back for Casino Royale. That would have been weird. But yeah, I slightly disagree with you because she's not given much to work with. But to me, she's also the one cast member that actually seems bored or out of place delivering the lines. Because Brosnan's lines aren't necessarily better, or Rosamund Pike's lines, but they seem to take it seriously and give it their all. And Halle Berry, to me, just seems like she doesn't care.
Like, I just want an Oscar. I'm talk of the town right now.
Sometimes she has a very, very weird pronunciation or emphasis on
I think
words.
she just hams it up, but I don't necessarily think
It's
that's
just
a
like
bad
she's
thing.
reading an auto cue-ish. Just read what it says. And that's the whole scene's overdone as well. I mean, if
It's
you
a
compare
really
it
terrible
to,
scene.
Yeah, but if you compare it to the Grey Ursula, it's the whole way that scene works is because it's so understated. She just back in the day, it was of course also very almost erotic by that standards, and it still is a very good scene. But it's just just her walking out one shot. And now it's all weird, like binocular-like and slow-mo and the music.
I would like to have
it's
that
just-
binocular set though, because you can look through it in
Yeah.
slow motion. It's amazing.
No, but it's just so overplayed. It's just like
Yeah.
It's,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
When you reference a previous Bond film, just don't use it to your advantage and don't use it to show off how crap the current one is.
It's kind of
rub it in your face.
Yeah. It's like what you said with, I don't know when you said it, Tyler, but you said it in Dr. No, everything is just offhand, or it's just the way it is. We're not going to make it an iconic scene. But then, for instance, when James Bond now has to say his name, they really prepare for it, and all this tension and all this timing of the scene hangs on it. And it's like with Jinx coming out of the water here. It's like, look at us, look at what we're doing.
But I do think that's particularly with the Brosnan films. That's when he introduces himself. It's like, okay, silence.
Here comes the money shot.
Everyone in the
Yeah.
world just, it's like those old westerns when someone walks into a bar, people stop gambling and they just all look around. It's like Bond, and then everyone stops. It all stops.
But is this then fun banter or really bad dialogue?
This is really bad dialogue. Okay. And has Bond ever been more horny than here? I mean, of course, you've been in prison for 40 months.
He
and
didn't
hell,
have
there is a
Govinda.
he didn't have Govinda. Yeah, but
If only.
it makes sense after 40 months
Yeah,
without
but
sex.
still,
Okay.
it's sleazy. I mean, if you look at the
He looks
Thunderball
sleazy.
one, but like Bond and like the actual lovemaking scene has always been off camera. It's always been implied or done very sensual or classy way, like with Fiona. Just panning up from the bed with the hands and stuff. That works. So this is just
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Brosnan's sex
So
face
awkward.
kind of resembles his pain face.
Well, you don't know what she was doing, so.
But they wanted to make it more R-rated than it already is, right? They wanted to
Spice things up.
There was actually like moaning and stuff in the trailers, and they removed that as well. It's like just weird. I don't know.
always thought that was just the audience moaning, like, oh. But no.
Could have been.
So whoever brings a fig to bed.
That's yeah. I written that down as well. Very strange, but I like this. There was a little anecdote that I read in one of the books that I read in preparation to this podcast. That after the release of this movie, Brosnan was approached by a man in a bar in Dublin and asked him to shake his hand.
I can see where this is
And
going.
Brosnan complied and then cracked up because the man quipped, "That's the closest my hand will ever get to Hillberry's arse." Well,
She looks really nice.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
no complaints there.
yeah, no, we get a steamy night, and I think we see more than we ever saw before in a Bond film.
Sex-wise.
Yeah, sex-wise.
Steamy Night, was that also a title that was considered?
For the Jinx film, yes, that's right. Yeah. Any opinions on that?
I concur
Yeah,
with
like I just
Martin.
said.
I don't really think it fits a Bond movie. And I don't think it adds anything to the movie as well, because it's not like they will have a long-standing relationship afterwards.
No. And indeed, I assume they're both in the bed naked. So how the hell does he, pop up? I think it's a peach.
I thought it was a fig.
A fig? Okay. And a knife?
Yeah, and a knife. Flick knife.
All right.
Is
So
this a nod to Basic Instinct then?
Should have brought a nice pick.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's scary.
So the next morning, Bond sees Jinx leave to the gene therapy clinic. on Los Órganos.
Subtle gene therapy on the island of organs.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like Alcatraz. I like that. I like the idea.
It looks nice, yeah.
And
The
the
fact that it's on an
soundtrack's
island.
good as well. The
You know-
moment he walks onto the pier with the guy in a wheelchair.
And I like the scene prior to that,
Yeah.
where he goes with a wheelchair to the guy.
But even before that, it's very difficult. I've tried it. I did a bit of acting when I was in high school. It's very difficult to act that you're awakening. And I think Brosnan does it really well. When he awakens and he stretches out, is Jinx there? No, she isn't. He looks about. It's more difficult than you think to make it seem natural because you never do that consciously, that part in your life. It's always just happens. And I like it that he actually has sleepy hair. His hair it looks like he's been sleeping. I think that's really well.
I have done it the other way around, that I'm faking as if I'm sleeping already.
You do that. All
That's
right.
also quite tough.
It's a good thing your girlfriend's not listening to this podcast.
I know she's never listening to this podcast, so I can say whatever I want.
How about that lady who's on the bed?
I love it. She doesn't care. Like, she had the money, so,
Exactly, her customer is being punched in the face and she's like, buenos dias, buenos dias. Hello.
Oh, that punch! That's a really hard punch. The guy's out for hours.
Yeah.
And he walks towards the pier, and you get one of the most beautiful renditions of the Bond theme.
Yeah, very exotic.
Cool.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Really good.
I like this
Arnold
entire
there.
sequence that he goes into the clinic and then sees the guards there, and then he pushes the wheelchair and then goes via the other car of a room and then takes
Eats a grape.
Eats a grape.
Thunderbolt. Check.
Yep.
We should have a buzzer on the table every time
Another
we see
one,
a
yeah.
nod to another film or book. We can
Yeah, exactly. We should just watch this movie and play Bond Bingo.
Well, I was going to say, if we had to do that with a buzzer, you'd hear more buzzing than us talking, so...
What I also find funny is that if you have a secret passage hidden away, the
Don't
wall
put
of your
giant
building,
camera.
don't put a camera on it.
Did you find the button really obvious? The first time I saw this, it's like he's touching
Yep.
the wall everywhere except for the most obvious button in the middle of the wall.
You just want to shout to the screen.
Yeah, it's
Bond,
right
it's
there. It's right there. Just press it.
And then we get the Man with the Golden Gun reference,
Yeah.
Yep.
which is totally out of place.
It's out
Yeah.
of place, but I really thought that was very cool. It looked, I don't know, I really like that one.
Yeah, but it-
which they
It
also
really
reference
adds to the
in-
plot.
No,
Yes.
but doesn't do any of the references really. But
True.
I really is it Mission Impossible Fallout? I think there's the same kind of room with Tom Cruise, like with a like the Dutch angle, him walking past some mirrors. I think it's just a very cool
It just looks
aesthetic.
cool.
Yeah,
It looks cool. And you get weird
and he just
sounds.
pulls out the gun, and then that's it.
And then Bond finds Zhou is about to be turned into a handsome-looking German soccer player.
Who still has diamonds in his face, despite being treated by the most money-greedy man on earth.
But he's only half turned into the German soccer player.
Yeah.
My name is Thomas Schiller.
And then all hell breaks loose. I like the sequence, the fight the between Zhou and Bond here in this room. And no,
Apart from all the slow-mos and this.
no,
that
that's
stuff,
terrible.
yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah, it's a cool little fight.
I asked my wife, she was in the room, she was not looking at the film anymore, but she was not interested. But Bond takes the face of Zhou and he punches him through the light box or something. I was asking my wife, what do you call that in English? The big light thing where you put x-rays on. And she looked at it and she says, "Oh, nobody uses that anymore. That's very old
It's
school.
all
It's all
digital.
digital, and
Yeah.
then you can actually zoom in, and that's very
but
old-fashioned.
maybe back in
But
2002
it wasn't
they
in
did.
2002 because
It was high state-of-the-art
it
technology.
wasn't state of the art. But
And we are in Cuba.
most
But Cuba
X-
has excellent healthcare system. It really does.
yeah, but
very
most
good.
most X-rays were in digital by then.
Yeah, okay. But she didn't know the name, so I'm just going to call it light box, but I don't.
Okay.
That's not it.
And I have a question for you guys, because we then get a lot of action and we see Zhou going to a helicopter. Why is there a helicopter there? It
With
can't be-
henchmen.
Yeah, it can't be there to pick up Zhou, right?
Why not?
No, because
Because Zhou was in the middle of a transition.
It was
He kicks out the
evacuation
passengers.
helicopter, was?
Yeah, and if he kicks out the passenger,
But there were other guards
then
with
those
guns.
guards who are with the helicopter,
Are
they should
protecting
say,
the
hey,
passengers."
what are you doing to our passenger?
They're probably just hired mercenaries. They don't care as long as they get paid.
Here,
Oh, that's okay.
have a diamond.
Yeah.
So you
I
agreed-
never thought about
It
that.
doesn't make sense, I think.
No.
Or was the helicopter there and those guys that are part of the clinic, and
They're just random guards.
they don't care who gets into the helicopter, as long as they get to fire their guns.
Yeah. No, I can't explain that one.
No. So we finally found a plot hole in Die Another Day.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Took 40 minutes or something like that.
Another hint that this film was made for 12-year-olds is that Bond films have the tendency of getting their clocks wrong or their editing wrong. So, sometimes a bomb should blow up in 5 seconds, but it takes a minute.
Yeah.
And they actually did it right. Last film that we reviewed was For Your Eyes Only, and they had 8 minutes of oxygen in the submarine, and they were back within 7 minutes. But here, Jinx sets the bomb for 3 minutes, and it only takes 20 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Did it the other way around.
So in the end, Zhou escapes and Jinx takes another cool CGI dive, and Bond is left standing with his hands up.
Yeah, that's also one thing that this girl waving his gun around is she's being followed by the two guards. She jumps off, and the guys have no interest in this guy with his old revolver standing right next to them.
No.
They just walk off like, oh well.
But why did they do it in CGI, the dive? Why not just, show...
Well, I don't really like Halle Berry, but to tell her to go jump off a cliff is a bit rude, don't you think?
I don't think they were actually... Maybe there wasn't a cliff.
But you guys agree with me, that looks terrible, right?
Yeah, it's a very
again,
good
like
shot.
I said, no, I don't mind it being CGI, but I do mind it being poor CGI, even by those standards.
Maybe it was just another excuse to get Halle Berry in a bikini.
Probably.
Again, she really doesn't sell it to me when
when
she comes back up in the water.
Yeah, I was going to say, about the plot holes, why is that boat there? Did she already order someone, just stay right on that top in case everything goes wrong and I have to jump off the cliff and land there?
Maybe the boat was from the same guys from the clinic that have helicopters everywhere with armed guards. I don't know. And Bond looks at the necklace of Zhou, the pendant, and it has 4 diamonds in it.
Yeah, and they are identified as conflict diamonds. And they have the crest of the company owned by British billionaire businessman Gustav Graves in it.
Now, I looked at this image...
The GG, you
the
mean?
GG for hours, and I cannot see 2 G's in there, but Bond does.
Yes.
There's some sort of markings. GG. Really? Where? I did not see that.
No, you don't?
Yeah, I know now how to look, but
it's a mirror.
Mirrored, yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
It's very, 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 very subtle.
Yeah, if you have those slow motion binoculars, then it will. Yeah, you'll need those. And if you have those, it just shows up immediately.
And then we finally see Moneypenny, who is, as a nod to the old days, listening in on M, being barked at by this idiot from the NSA, Falco.
Yeah, Falco. That was Brosnan's friend, right? Michael Madsen, I think.
Really?
It was like his neighbor or something. It got him in part in the film.
Okay.
I really like this actor from the Tarantino films. Yeah.
I like him from those movies as well.
I was going to say, here he's just like your generic grumpy American guy.
Yeah, but I don't think it's believable that he is, the head of NSA or a high-ranking
he's just
officer?
like they could literally grab any American male actor, living or dead, to play the part better than he did. He does nothing with it. He has no emotions in it. Later on, he almost got killed, and all he does, emotion, is just lights a cigarette.
I like that.
No, we'll get to that, but he's disappointed that he can't fire his entire squadron of missiles on North Korea. He's disappointed,
So it's like Donald Trump then?
I don't know. Let's not get into politics, but it's one of the end scenes. I always thought it was that he was really disappointed that he couldn't destroy North Korea because
I never saw it that way.
Is that what the NSA does? I don't know much about the NSA, but is it... I thought it was supposed to
In Die Another Day, yes.
But isn't the NSA meant to operate within the United States? Or is it the rest of the world?
National security, so...
Yeah,
it is national security. So why didn't they just select the CIA?
I don't know. This is not my area of expertise.
So another plot hole then. Are you guys ready for another round of trivia questions?
Oh dear.
About as ready as I was the
First
other
turn.
2
2 turns.
Are they easy?
Good.
Right.
All right, question number 1. We discover, if you're a genuine Bond geek, on which date Bond visits the clinic on Los Organos. The date is on the check Jinx gives Alvarez. What's the date? Question number 2. What is the name of the German soccer player Zhou is turning himself into?
I just said this. Come on.
Yeah, no, I don't care. No.
The next one I already saw that you wrote it down as well.
Oh.
So, but in the novelization, Raymond Benson also adds a lot of references to the rich history of James Bond. For instance, when Bond is in Cuba, someone is listening to a certain song on his radio. What's the name of the song? And And fourth and final question for this round. What is the CD track title of the score we hear when we first see Bond in Cuba? Question number 1 is the date. We see on the check it's...
Ooh, I know.
Oh, go ahead.
It's the 11th of the 11th, 2002.
Yep.
Oh, I had the 7th of the 7th.
I had October 5th.
Okay.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
What's the...
Why
11 of 11?
Is it the day it premiered in the UK?
No.
Is it...
Yeah, no, that was November 22.
Okay. Maybe... I don't know.
I thought maybe you know, but...
No, I don't know why, no. Hi, this is Don, and I am breaking into this podcast. I am currently editing this film review of Die Another Day, and ever since recording, we figured out what the significance of the 11th of November is. The 11th of November is not only Armistice Day, celebrating the end of World War I, but it has also generally been accepted as the day of James Bond's birth. It was John Pearson who wrote The Life of Ian Fleming, and James Bond the authorized biography of 007, and he had the honor of deciding Bond's birthday. So, there you have it. Now, back to the podcast.
The name of the guy Zhou is turning into is...
Mein Name ist...
Yeah, it's not Thomas Müller, but...
it's a German soccer player.
Yeah.
First half is correct, Tyler. It's Thomas.
Yeah, I had Thomas, question mark.
Thomas.
Ich heiße Thomas Schiller.
Thomas Schiller. Ich bin geboren in Hamburg. Mein Vater.
Ich bin 23 Jahre alt.
You both had Thomas as first name, so give yourself half a point.
Yes! Yay! Yes! I'm not a 0 anymore.
No, that's...
Not a complete loser this time.
Okay. Third question. The name of the song.
I have Britannia, no idea.
I had to look it up.
No.
Underneath the mango tree?
No.
I had to look at my notes, but it was a good one.
Which one was it?
Californian Girls.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was going to write that down. I'm like, nah, that's probably too cheesy.
And
I'll give myself half a
Die Another Day.
Yeah, I should have known.
Yeah, half a point. It's okay. And the last question, the track title of the score we hear when we first see Bond in Cuba. Tyler?
Aloha shirts and wife beaters.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes. You get 10 points for this question.
Oh, too bad.
Martin?
No, I had it. I love the track. It's track number 6 on the CD, I think, but I can't remember for the life of me.
It's a random guess. Welcome to Cuba.
Fuck, it's right.
Yeah.
Shit, I was hoping that at least one question you wouldn't know the answer to.
Which is a different one than used in the film, actually.
Yeah, on the...
It's a lot longer on the CD, and it's also like a lot different than ones we were used.
On the 2-disc version that
Yeah,
they,
that's the full one.
Yeah.
Like two
it also
ones.
has a different title.
It also has the better ending with the Cuban Bond guitar riff at the end. I really do like just putting it out there. Arnold's score, like I said, the stuff that's on the actual first CD, like the single disc one, is probably the worst part of the entire soundtrack, because all the good tracks are not on there, because I always thought it was a crap score.
I agree.
It's the first one I bought, but the doubles disc ones got a lot of the Bond riffs, a lot of the... I think in this one, he really does what John Barry does very well as well. He's like, get the atmosphere of the location in there.
The Cuba segment has some really cool tunes there. Yeah.
Is this the first soundtrack or the first score where David Arnold really finds his own voice instead of pretending to be a discount John Barry?
Guess a little bit. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but
in his first two movies, he really leans heavily on the Bond theme and things that Barry already wrote. And here I feel
like Tomorrow is really like a love song to Bond. There's so much Bond theme and big brassy orchestra, and then Twine is very electronic.
Yeah.
To me, these first three are quite similar. But the other two, Casino and Quantum, are very distinctive. That's my...
Yeah, I guess this one is a bit less interchangeable.
I really like it. I really like what he does.
Yeah, but it is my least favorite of the David Arnold scores, I think.
Out of the 5?
Out of the 5, yeah. There's too much... Yeah, I'm not sure if techno is the right word, but it's too
a bit
much...
all over the place.
James Bond needs techno. Just listen to Madonna.
Yeah. What does she know?
Let's not listen to Madonna.
No. Let's go on.
Here.
All right, on board a plane of British Airways, Bond gets a heavily shaken martini from Roger Moore's daughter. Yay. Reads some in-flight magazine and listens to a 70s punk band.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm so grateful they cut out the scene where he has to get out of the plane.
What? Serious?
By the
I was so sad they cut that out. I think that was good. Like they actually filmed part of that. Like it was Deborah
on a
Moore.
green screen
Yeah,
set.
there was Deborah Moore actually looking at Bond, like telling everyone to buckle up, and then
he
she goes
gone.
to Bond's seat, and it's just a magazine there. And then like I can totally see probably the only one who could pull it off is Brosnan's Bond. Now walking off out the landing gear and then walking off, straightening his tie and then buttoning his jacket. I can really see him putting it off, and it really does sort of explain how a wanted secret agent could go back to his home country.
No, I
noticed.
To the imitation zone. Forget it, brother. You can go it alone. London calling to the zombies of death.
It does explain something. It does because it's still in the book, and then at the end of the film they go into the Antonov, the big plane. Then he tells Jinx, "Yeah, it's easy if you know how to move about these planes." It does explain a bit about that.
What do you guys think about the punk band that's in there?
London Calling.
Yeah, Clash.
It's funny. I mean, I've heard the original score where there's just a Bond theme, which would have been nice in the scene with Bond actually getting out through the wheels as well. Yeah, I don't mind.
I'm probably the biggest punk fan of you guys, just by default.
It's not California Girls, so
just by default. So I kind of like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun little gag in there.
Yeah, I like the song.
Yeah, I like it as well.
I don't have any problems with it. No.
Okay. And then we see the entrance of Gustav Graves with the Union Jack parachute.
Spy Love Me. Ding.
Is it a bit too much, or is it a nice little nod to the Spy Love Me?
Oh, was it a nod to the Spy Who Loved Me? Oh, I totally missed that one.
Okay.
This is, to me, one of the worst acted scenes in the film, when he lands and he talks to the press, and all the press is giving these predetermined questions. It's so over the top. And even Rosamund Pike has difficulty saying the lines.
I like his entrance, just like parachuting in. What a wonderful day to become a knight.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it.
But what do
Nice
you guys think
throwaway
about Toby Stevens as the villain?
I think he's a missed opportunity.
line. Yeah, definitely.
Why?
Because he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And he does something with the part that is not in the script, I guess. He really makes it his own, but it's just a terribly written part.
Yeah,
He is a
think
very over-the-top villain.
Yeah, but he has this weird sense of charm in him. Like in the first couple of scenes, just like I think Scaramanga had. You know, he's a bad guy, but he's like sort of nice, enjoyable.
I read in some kind of hero that he screen tested opposite Colin Salmon, who played Bond in the screen test, and Toby played several versions of his character. One more
low key,
and one more over the top. And Colin Salmon said the low key version was really exciting, and he was really a terrifying character. But Lee Tamori said, no, let's go for the over the top time
Yeah.
I was gonna say
He said that time and time again.
Great.
The sly
advice.
laughing and the grunting and the face pulling. It's just shame.
For instance, if he would have been in Tomorrow Never Dies, playing Elliot Carver, I think that would have worked wonders for the film. And for him as well. Yeah.
He really enjoys playing Bond as an audio Bond version. He reads plenty of the novels, and he's also in the BBC dramatizations of the Flemings. He's the son, I believe,
from
Maggie Smith.
Maggie Smith, yeah,
famous
actress from Harry Potter.
Yeah,
as well,
more than that.
And it's 15 other.
But he's a good actor. Physically, it makes sense because he's about the same height, I think, as the actor that plays Colonel Moon. As if you consider this plot to make any sense, but basically, he's Hugo Drax, right? The villain
from the novel.
From the novel, yeah.
It's a shame it didn't do more with this part. Like when he says later he based Gustav Grave on Bond in the details. I think that would have been interesting touch, you know, to make him a bit more like they did with Scaramanga, make him like Bond's dark side.
I never understood that line because he meets Bond 5 minutes before Bond more or less kills him. doesn't meet him anymore, and he bases his whole new character on the guy he met for 5 minutes.
Yeah, he probably has like tons of intel from Frost. So
all of a sudden,
yeah, of course, the script said he had. So
okay, yeah. Well, I don't really think it makes sense, but
it's definitely not the best
concept.
villain, but it's not the worst in my opinion.
No, but if you want to see Toby Stephens in a role that fits him very well, his series Vexed is on Netflix. Vexed, yeah.
Is it a Viking type of series?
No. He's a British detective.
Okay.
And I love him
Sounds
in the
good.
series.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
gonna check that out.
really funny and
likable man.
Yeah, and he narrates From Russia with Love.
Yeah,
and he has one of the most soothing voices to fall asleep to. About 5 minutes in, I usually fall asleep. So,
are we ready to go to the fencing club?
Madonna!
Yep. Bond meets up with the Queen of Pop.
Right.
Excuse me while I hang myself.
Are we really going to say more about Madonna, or let's just skip this part?
I want to say one thing.
Okay.
She has the most spectacular crocodile leather outfit with scales and stuff in it. Okay,
It was actually hers.
Really?
Yeah, I read it in some kind of hero as well. She said they offered her the part, and she said, "Oh, that's great, and I have the right outfit for this part." So
okay, well, I think again it's a positive note on this movie. I like her outfit in this fencing scene,
and we also get the classic line in the classic Brosnan manner: "Silence, focus on Pierce, bring it on."
Bond.
Everybody watches. Huh? Everybody stops playing with their. With
James
their,
Bond. Yeah.
Okay, after some bickering about the conflict diamonds, Graves challenges Bond to a fencing duel, in which they literally use every sword available in the club.
This is a good scene. This is a very good scene.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a
both you,
guilty
Tyler,
pleasure.
and Don, you said this is the best scene of the entire movie. So
yeah, Don, she's all yours.
Okay. When this scene came on, I told my wife, "Look at this. This is great. This is where Bond is gonna poke at under the skin of the villain, trying to irritate him, trying to provoke him." And then she turned around and said, "Okay, I'm gonna watch it." And then, okay, ignore the first part with Madonna. It's gonna start real soon.
Wait for it.
And then and they start talking to each other. And she said, "Well, it's not really provoking." But then the tension just kept on building and building. So okay, I can see where you're coming from. Especially after he got beat 2-0. It's 2-0. You want to continue? Of course, I want to continue.
Yeah, that's really well acted.
Yeah. Let's play for this, huh? And my, they do get around. Oh, I love quoting this part. Yeah, this is really good. So, what I really like, Brosnan, he just stands there, and then before they're gonna up the weapons, he takes off his mask and he just moves his arm to the side and assumes that a boy will stand there to take it from him. He's not even gonna pay attention.
I love the way he just like with his shoe just flips the other sword away.
Yeah,
That's just a
and it
badass
flies
moment.
towards the camera. Yeah, and they just go at it like madmen. They really
It's
throw
great,
themselves into the fight. I think it's very well choreographed.
Yeah, I think you can see they both really enjoyed it, really put their backs into it. It's very,
Get back into it.
Good,
Different scene. But and they go outside the club and they need bigger swords and still need bigger swords and the entire place is being thrashed. And I like the chair stunt. It's tiny. It doesn't make any sense because he puts the chair right in front of him. Let's see what you do now. But it looks cool. And the music, and they go outside, and Brosnan gets punched in the face all the time, but he just keeps on going and going, and he dives, and I love it. And then as soon as he falls into the pool, still wants to continue, and then Frost comes in, and
that's enough. That is enough. After you destroyed the entire club, this is enough. All of a sudden, like almost decapitating a guy by cutting his newspaper in half and cutting paintings and thrashing up every single collectible in there. This is enough. Really?
Actually, the only gag that I don't really like, the cutting up of the newspaper.
I thought it was Michael Wilson first, but it isn't.
No.
But why don't you like it?
It's a bit too much. I don't know. It's
very
but apart from that, you also
I think it's a great scene. I really think it's a great scene. Going from a rapier to a katana to a Scottish claymore, just on and on and on.
Normally, with scenes like this in previous films, it's always like, that's not Roger Moore, that's not Roger Moore, that's not Roger Moore. But here, they do it pretty well.
Which isn't strange. We were watching License to Kill, but no. But remember when I was talking in our The World Is Not Enough podcast, I was talking about the snarl on Brosnan's face. There's one here about 500% more than he usually does it, but there's the that's it. That's it. And I also like that after the fight, for some reason they just shake each other's hand, and Graves is like, just a bit of just a nice bit of playing here.
But I remember
Got a
for the
gaping
first
stomach
time,
wound, but
when I watched this, I really thought, how is Bond going to win this? He seems completely outclassed by Toby Stevens. I think they also
Why?
cast him because he's fitter, younger, and he handles his weapon well. He's known to keep his tip up or whatever. But pretty much Brosnan or Bond is outclassed, but he still wins at the end. I was like, when I first watched it, I was like, there you go. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's my boy. Proud of him.
And I like it that they really did something original with the source material.
Yeah.
You have the club blades, which usually is just, or in novels it's just a card club.
Yeah.
Well, they make it a fencing club here.
Sure.
And
which is cool.
it has that Bond feel, probably because they did it for real.
Yeah. So at the end of the fight, Bond kills Graves. So this was the end of the Die Another Day podcast. Oh, no, it wasn't. Unfortunately, Bond goes off to an abandoned station where he meets M.
Yeah, well, first we have the tiny scene with the Rasta guy.
Yeah.
And you get the great dialogue with Miranda Frost and Bond. Like,
The invitation for Iceland.
yeah, we'll have the pleasure of you in Iceland.
I'm afraid you'll never have that pleasure.
And then that face that Brosnan gives, he's like, that hurt.
I remember Rosamund Pike was like 22 or 23. Very young. This was her first major role.
She looks very young.
Yeah, she does quite well, I think.
Yeah, holds her own. Yeah. I like all the little mannerisms that Brosnan has in this film. Later on, during the car chase, he punches the button.
It looks like the coolest guy ever. Yeah.
And also when he, after the bad CGI para surfing thing, when he lands and he pulls his arm like that, like his shoulder still hurts from The World Is Not Enough. And here as well, when Graves says goodbye and she leaves Miranda to make arrangement, he kind of salutes the guy and just tips his invisible hat. And I just like those little nods that he does. And he's completely absorbed in the scene. Yeah.
I generally do think, like, during production, Brosnan actually thought it was going to go and be a great movie. I think he actually did have fun during this one.
I think he really had a good time. He was dying to make a fifth.
Yep.
He was up for it. I was up for it. That was it, pretty much.
So we're gonna go to the abandoned station now, where Bond and M meet up, and she tells Bond of MI6 doubts about Graves and pretty much accepts the fact that Bond has been going rogue for the past few weeks. Says, okay, no problem. And then we get a scene, Martin, that you initially said this is my favorite scene of the film.
Yeah, but it's my runner-up now.
It's your runner-up.
Yeah.
This is the terrorist attack on the MI6 HQ.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much the Q scene, really. The whole shot, like, it's something I miss in some films.
You don't mean
the establishing shot, Vauxhall Cross with a nice little Bond theme underneath, and... Brosnan is so cool in this scene. It's so suspenseful and cool, and I love seeing Colin Salmon in there as well, because he really looks like a very capable agent, and I would have loved to see Salmon out in the field with Bond somewhere, because it really looks very cool.
Doesn't it look like a video game to you? They shot it to make it look like a video game? With
Yeah.
the corridors and the...
A little bit, but I don't know, I just think Pierce looks like a total badass.
Yeah,
in
he
this scene.
does.
However, they should have used the graphics of that video game for the CGI in this movie. Then everything would have been good.
I don't like the sequence at all because it's the virtual reality.
Yeah, but the scene in itself is cool.
I do remember that the first time I watched it, I was like, what's happening? Moneypenny's dead?
I was quite shocked when I first saw that. Moneypenny dead? I'm like, what? Eh?
Knowing that it's a virtual reality scene, why do we get an establishing shot of MI6 headquarters? Because it's not there.
Because it's a great shot.
Yeah.
Why is Bond cleaning his gun in a video game?
Yeah, that's like the most boring action you can do. Level 1, clean your gun. Can we go slightly back before
to Bond and M
Yeah,
meeting?
Bond and M. There's also plenty of nods here, because he goes to Westminster Bridge, which is directly opposite a Lazenby lamppost.
Yep.
And he goes inside, and
posing there.
then M is standing there. How long has M been standing there in the dark, waiting for Bond to show up? In
probably has like he probably has like a blanket and a bed around the corner. She just hears the door
I hope
shut.
so,
Oh
but
shit!
She looks
Get
like
up.
she's been waiting for hours and hours. And then she says something like, while you were away, the world changed. And I read that this might be a reference to the
9/11.
9/11, because he was captured inside the North Korean prison then.
I think that was the case because they were in pre-production when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
But pretty far into pre-production. And they changed some things because initially they wanted the final to be a city to be destroyed by
They were thinking
Icarus.
about New York City, right?
Yeah.
But had to change it, obviously.
So I think this is definitely a reference to 9/11.
Yeah, I think so too. Bond says something when they talk about Gustav Graves. So he went from nothing to everything. That's kind of like everything or nothing, but backwards. But maybe I'm reading too much into it. I like that nod. And now here, I mentioned when he took the, what did you call it? The necklace from Zhou, the pendant.
Pendant.
It only had 4 diamonds, and now it has 5 diamonds.
Ah.
So somehow they multiplied.
What, didn't he win one from Graves?
Oh yeah, that might be true.
Yeah.
Maybe he was paid.
No,
a
they played for
diamond.
they played for
in
his
the
own.
diamond.
Yeah, okay.
Here, have another conflict diamond.
There you go.
Some more evidence about my villainous.
It has the markings in there. That's all I wanted to say.
So now we're off to a trip down memory lane in Q storage.
Bond turns Canadian with all the A at the end of every sentence, eh?
Eh?
Where they keep the old relics, eh?
Is it Irish maybe?
He is Irish.
He is Irish.
I thought it was Canadian.
What do you think of the scene?
Well, this is just in there. Just the only way they could have made it more blatant is if they actually had a physical banner on top of the screen saying "Happy Anniversary 007" and balloons and confetti, and it's just.
I like it.
I liked it as like an 11-year-old seeing it for the first time, but it's some of the stuff like the jetpack thing. It's not as clever as they want us to think it is.
I always think, why did he took away Rosa Klepp's shoe
And smells it.
and smell?
Well, I
But
think
why
that-
bring it from Venice to
I
back to
don't know.
London?
I think it's a funny one, but like the still the smell
I can
and
imagine
disgusting
MI6
face,
wants
but-
to analyze it, wants to know how it's made, what is the venom, how is what kind of antidote should we develop. It makes sense, Anthony. It really makes sense.
And almost 40 years later, it's still there.
Now that's where they keep the old relics,
Ah,
Anthony.
okay.
Pay attention.
Well, one thing I don't like is like for the second or third time in like half an hour they use the point taken or the point pun.
But
Yeah.
I like John
I see your
Cleese
point.
here.
Yeah.
John Cleese is much better as Q.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really like him as Q. He's getting a lot of flack as well, but I really like him. Like the throwaway line of being cleverer than you are.
Yeah,
I
that's good.
I think that's very.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes it as serious as you can
Plays
take
it
a part like
straight,
that.
yeah. And it was actually consciously written that first Bond is not accepting him as the new quartermaster, so he keeps calling him quartermaster, and then by the end
he calls him Q.
lovingly Q.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. Yeah.
There's also a nod there in the end to the novel Thunderbolt, right? With the poster against the wall.
I haven't seen that one. Missed it.
I read it somewhere that there is, when they're going to the Aston Martin, there's a poster there from a guy smoking a cigarette. And in
Is
the
it
novel,
Players?
Yeah, and in the
Players
novel,
cigarettes?
Yeah, in the novel Thunderbolt,
Oh,
Domino
wow,
says she's
yeah.
in love with the
I
guy
love that
from
chapter.
from that poster, and
Yeah,
that's that
Players
poster.
cigarettes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we get 2 John Cleese references during this scene. First, we get the
From
it-
Monty Python or something?
Yeah,
Or-
it is but a flesh wound when he shoots M.
Yeah.
If you look back at the
Oh,
tape, you
yeah.
will see it's just a flesh wound. And then we get the funny walk in the reflection of the invisible Aston
Yeah.
Martin. In,
That's a silly
Oh,
walk.
yeah,
Silly
silly
walk.
Yeah,
walk.
Ministry
Yeah.
of Silly Walks. from
Exactly,
Monty-
yeah.
What is the flesh wound thing?
It's one. Wasn't it from like Flying Sword? One of the Monty Python
Yeah,
films
it's one
where
of
the
the-
arm gets cut off, or like everything gets cut off.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Just
exactly.
a torso.
Fight
with-
me,
Yeah.
but you don't have any legs. Oh, but it is a mere flesh wound. It's Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I believe.
I live in Eindhoven, and a couple of years ago, there's a long corridor, and they painted Ministry of Silly Walks there with all kind of silly walks from John Cleese. And John Cleese was actually there to open it, so I was there as well. He was really funny because they handed him a few tulips. And he grabbed it and said, "Thank you." And then he started eating the tulip. Everyone, "What the hell are you doing?" And it was really funny. And he said, I can't do my silly walks anymore because I'm a bit too old now. But he was walking there and looking at it. A really tall guy, by the way. Really tall.
Brosnan has to look up. Yeah,
Yeah,
Brosnan is
it's a
quite
re-
tall
yeah.
already, yeah. And then we get the invisible car.
The invisible
Yeah.
car. Yep. I remember.
highlight of the movie.
Yeah, who wants to go first?
I like the reaction of Brosnan. Again, I'm going to say something positive here. I like the fact that, first of all, he's like, you've probably been down here too long. And then Cleese or Q deactivates the cloaking device, and you see Brosnan reacting like, oh, that's very good. And he actually knocks it like, is it really here? I really like the way they filmed that.
That's one of the things I always do when I go and check out a car with someone. Like, they want to buy a car, just
touch it.
And then they hand over, like, no one ever gets it. But it's just one of those quips.
I don't mind it. I mean, if a car can be a submarine...
Thank you, Don.
Why can't it be invisible? It's a film.
It's the thing that always bugs me.
For me, it's a bridge too far.
For me,
I can accept a car being a submarine because I think they can build it like that. But you cannot make a car invisible. And I know it's not invisible. It's only to the eye invisible.
And it's also not a documentary.
I know, but it's... I think Bond films need to be set 5 years into the future, not 500 years or something like that. It's too much science fiction for me. Tyler, please assist me on this.
I think I will take the middle ground here. I don't think it is as silly as people make it out to be, or such a shame for an otherwise great movie. I think it fits the movie pretty good. I do believe that it's a technology that they are working on, or were working on in 2002. But it might be a bit too much, especially since it leaves tire tracks. It is completely invisible. If it was camouflaged, then it might have been better. But it's completely invisible. And also, how does it work with the windows? Because the windows are obviously also just... Please explain.
The initial idea was to be not entirely invisible, right?
That was the idea, I think.
Yeah, it was
and Tamahori wanted it to be completely invisible.
Yeah, because Purvis and Wade were in cinema, and they were surprised as well because they wrote it as being a camouflage car, not as an invisible car. So they were in the cinema, okay, this was not what we were thinking of.
And Top Gear did it, right? They took a van
some kind of special, yeah. They actually, very crudely, like with LED displays, very big, but it is theoretically possible. That's the thing that really bugs me about this, is that people who say this is shameful and stupid to have a car with takes existing actual technology and just amps it up to 11 for this film, that's impossible. But people can believe that a car can turn into a submarine and have rockets shooting out of a place where 5 seconds ago was an engine.
Well, actually, rockets were already invented.
What about the water tank in the Aston Martin in Thunderball? Doesn't make any sense.
Or stuff like that.
It's in the same line. And it's probably the same as I said in the beginning, Tyler. I saw this film when I was, 20 or so, something like that, or 18, and was much more critical on it. And so I accepted all the films prior to GoldenEye as being, that's how they are. That's it. And then when you go to see a new Bond film, you are so much paying attention to every detail. And I remember sitting in the cinema and, not seeing the car or seeing the car, and I thought, what the hell is this? And this is, we talked about it before, I don't know in which podcast, that this was really the film that made me doubt my fandom regarding James Bond, because I was really so disappointed. I didn't like The World's Not Enough either, and then this film came, and it was just for me...
The 4-year gap didn't help either. I think if they would have started making the next one immediately, then my fandom wouldn't have dipped as much as it did between 2002 and 2006.
If you look at the way the first 4 or 5 films went, from Dr. No to You Only Live Twice, and again, if you look at Live and Let Die to Moonraker, they kind of do that. They push it, and I agree with you, too far. They push it too far, so they take it back. But I also agree with you, Tyler, what you said. In this film, the car, it works. If you need a film with an invisible car, and I think the invisibility, they use it quite well within the plot sometimes for him to sneak into the secret lair and stuff like that. Yeah, again, I don't mind it too much. I don't let it ruin in my film. No. Definitely not.
And then there's me, like, I saw this film the first time when I was 11, so I just went, well, first of all, I didn't know you could be sexually attracted to a non-living creature or object. But apart from that, I thought it was great, but, like, I still have vivid memories of playing around with the miniature Aston Martin and the Jaguar and shooting plastic rockets at each other. And
Martin was at the sweet spot of the target audience.
Yeah, I was the target audience for this one. I loved it.
There you go.
I was too old for this shit. That's it. Yeah.
Martin, would you like to take a lie down down on the couch, have a tissue, and talk about your love for inanimate objects?
No, thanks. I'm good now.
All right.
We then get a brief scene between M and Frost that tells us Frost is really a MI6 agent who is either a traitor or really, really bad at her job, since she claims Graves is clean.
So what you're saying is, actually, as an audience, we should know right away that that Frost is a bad.
It's a double.
Yeah, because she says... Yeah.
Or she's just inept at her work.
That's what I say. She's either a traitor or she's really, really bad at the job.
I think she's just bad at her job.
Yeah, I never
at this
looked
moment,
at the trailer bit.
I was shocked when she took place opposite M. It's like, she's MI6. That's really what I thought. Yeah. I was expecting M would brief Bond, but then she was there. It's like,
that's true.
I had no idea she was MI6.
No, I didn't.
Didn't think about that.
No, I didn't think that either. But I did thought right away. Okay, she's a villain.
Really?
Yeah. The way she plays a part, and the fact just that she says Graves seems to be clean.
Okay. Now that you mentioned that, yes, that makes sense. But I think I was just too much thinking, oh, it's such a pretty lady.
And she is lovely, isn't she?
She is like an English rose. Yeah.
All right. We're off to Iceland. Martin, take away.
Oh, this is my scene with the music, and this is just one pure for the fans. This is like shit is gonna go down within the next few minutes, hour or so.
Do you like the way that they speed up the visuals
No,
and then
the
slow
speeding
motion?
up is rubbish, but just the scene, like the music going a little bit, so like Bond's been driving for a couple of hours probably because it's supposed to be Iceland. Yeah, but he's just driving down. It's just a scene purely for people like me who are just upset about cars. He's just driving there like, let me just downshift for no reason, just floor it, and it's just that glorious engine noise, and it just drives onto the big ice palace, and it's pretty much everything we like about Bond. It's the Bond theme, it's the cool car, it's the cool scenery, it's like bigger than life.
Brosnan was really glad he got to drive an Aston Martin finally.
Yeah,
it was.
No,
really
but like this is Bond for me. You know, the music, the scenery, the car, the gadget, the bigger than life villain's lair. It's got everything.
Yeah.
It's not one little scene.
I tried to look up how you could get to Iceland by car, because I assume he drives over, but I can only find a ferry from Norway, so he would first have to get to Norway. Maybe there's some sort of boat line, maybe there was in 2002, I don't know, but according to Google Maps, it's well over 3 days to get there. He must be bored as hell in the car.
Once again, just listen to a few podcasts, right?
Play with some of
this
the
is where
switches.
my opinion, Die Another Day, takes a 180 degrees turn in terms of the tone of the film. Where the first half is a bit more espionage-like and more like a bit more serious thriller. Here we get...
comic booky.
Yeah, campy, comic book, exaggerated, over-the-top action. I kind of have the feeling that the producers didn't know what they wanted for Bond 20. Either a really thriller-like film like Commercial with Love, those kind of films, or more like Let's Go, You Only Live Twice, Moonraker style. In the end, they ended up with
a bit of both
and a total failure, in my personal opinion.
There is a tonal shift. Yeah, as soon as you go to Iceland, it becomes different film. I agree with that. And it's going to be more difficult to say positive things, I think, about the second half. But I'm looking at Tyler now because he's focusing on saying positive things.
Yes.
Your list is quite shorter now.
But do you think it's mostly because of the setting and the places we are, or is it also the
laser?
Yeah, we get that. I'm not going to say anything positive about that scene.
It's a combination, I think, of certain aspects in the scenes that we're going to see. Bad CGI, bad acting, bad script.
Bad editing.
Everything
just goes down.
But we already had that in the first half as well.
Yeah, but now it's like...
even more.
Yeah, it goes into overdrive, exactly, in my personal opinion. But
The car scene, the car chase is great, right? We can all agree on that?
Oh,
On
yeah.
the ice?
Yeah. But let's
Let's get back to that later.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna mention
we'll
a
see,
positive
we'll see.
point. I kind of like the Peter Lamont set from the Ice Palace.
Yeah, I love that.
It reminded me of the Sydney Opera House a bit.
Yep.
Not
Yeah.
doing it justice, probably.
It's very dramatic, very cool.
I actually went to an ice palace. I lived in Finland for a while, and I went up to Rovaniemi, which is nearly up in the Arctic Circle, and they built this entire hotel out of ice every year. So I walked around for a bit while I was living there. Didn't look anything like this wonderful set. It was more basic. But yeah, I didn't spend the night there, but they had actual beds made out of ice with plenty of rugs. This is 2005 I went there.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it's okay. We didn't have an ice palace yet in a Bond film, so yeah.
It's a nice idea, right? I believe the Designing 007 exhibition, there was a set design for this set. Like a model. Does anyone remember that?
I'm not sure. There were sketches of this set that I remember. I'm not sure if there was a model. Don't know it anymore.
Bit too long ago to remember that, yeah.
I missed the kill.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yep.
That's so bad, and then the pun is even worse. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
get out.
and he's looking like, I don't understand it. What do you mean?
What's the point of, like, he just says, I missed a kill, and then nothing. We
What do
don't
you
hear
say
from
to
him
that?
again. Yeah, well, well, good for you, but, like, the guy doesn't say anything else to Bond, like, I'll be your guide, or he just there just to tell people
Now,
who
does
his
he
name
look-
is to kill.
Does he look like a genuine Icelandic man to you?
Absolutely. I've never been there, but that's
Definitely.
probably how they all look.
Yeah, that's
If
what
they
he was supposed to
wanted,
be.
because they could have, at least they could have done the man with the golden gun reference there. I, Mr. Kill. Well, you'll be the death of me yet, Mr. Kill, or something like that.
Well,
Missed opportunity?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I do like how they reintroduced Gustav Graves' character in this speeder thing going over the ice.
I think he looks like Magneto from First Class X-Men. He has the same suit, same hair.
Yeah, you mean Fassbinder?
Yeah, Fassbinder.
Yeah, Fassbinder. Yeah, the actor. Yeah.
Different film.
Yeah.
But he shows up in his
Yeah, and
racing pod.
Yeah, and I like the way he responds to this guy, Vlad.
Vlad, yeah. So if Graves is Drax, then Vlad is like Krebs, right?
Krebs,
Or
yeah.
Krebs. Yeah, the slimy bugger from Moonraker. Yes, boss. Yeah.
He oversells it a bit, but he really enjoys playing the bad henchman. Like,
Yeah.
50,000 volts? No better yet. I love him.
He's having fun, yeah.
So Bond and Graves have a discussion inside the ice palace. Any comments on that?
Yeah, you find out who you really are under the skin.
Yeah, don't sleep. Sleep when you're dead, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
You're all looking like
Yeah,
really
whatever.
interesting.
No.
Okay, let's get to some bickering between Bond and Miranda.
I was gonna say,
I do like
that is
that
a
part.
Jinx appears for no obvious reason
Yeah.
in some more product placement.
Yep.
yeah, the Thunderbird, you mean?
Oh, I thought the dress.
No, it's
No,
the
the car.
the car. They
The
actually
Ford,
made
yeah.
700 of them, like a limited edition, which was weird because those had like a white top instead of the red. But
I like the
it's
car.
blink and blink and you miss it. It's not. It's just like purely there because
Yeah.
it was Aston Martin was
Like
owned by
the
Ford.
finish.
So yeah, but it was owned by Ford and so was Jaguar. So that's why you see a lot of Jaguars and Fords and stuff.
I also like the part where Frost is taking Bond to his hotel or to his room, and then when she leaves, he has his card.
He tosses,
Key card. He tosses
and
on the table, but
flies
it's of
off,
ice,
yeah.
of course. So it goes all the way through. And I can imagine he's been looking for 10 minutes for where the hell is my card now?
Yeah,
There's
but
also,
I like how she always rebuffs him. It's like, would you like to show me more?
Yeah.
And she
And
just,
just card. Nope.
oh,
Yeah.
cold as ice.
Then we're
Her
off,
name is Frost.
then we're off to some disco party.
Oh,
With
Tyler.
with more.
say nice things about this, Tyler.
Give us something positive, please.
I love the dress that Jinx is wearing.
Oh, very good. Yep.
The dress is nice.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Brosnan, as always,
In a
looks,
tux?
looks great in a tux.
Dinner jacket. Yeah.
Help me out here.
This I like the line "looking for the penguins" this time. I thought that was clever because he's watching birds. But then I mentioned this. She has sometimes she has a weird pronunciation, and here she's like, "I just don't like to be tied down." Okay.
Okay. Big Bang.
Big bang.
I love that one. That's I don't know. That's such a stupid line, but I really like that one with Miranda and just like yeah, I think I got the thrust of it. And one's like, okay, even I think this is awkward.
And we also get the big reveal of Graves, of course. While he is enjoying a Beauty Mask 2.0, he gets a visit by an old friend. Were any of you surprised in cinema that he was?
Nope.
In fact,
I don't remember.
I did not expect him to be Colonel Moon.
No, I didn't expect that one, but I thought you meant the Zhou thing.
Were you surprised that he was Colonel Moon?
No.
You
I
saw this coming
was
ahead.
surprised. I was
Oh, you were
surprised. I didn't
okay.
see it coming. Yeah, I did think he looked weird. The mask looks weird, but his face as well looks weird. He has these scars on his face, and I assume they were from the gene therapy, but they were there all of a sudden. So were they there because of the dream mask? Which looks like something that cost like $1 at a cheap store.
Christmas decorations.
With the neon thing, but no, it's just silly. And then they start speaking English again as soon as they can.
Yeah, they first have one or two lines in
I'm going to speak Korean now for one sentence, and that's it.
Yeah.
What happened to you, Bond?
This conversation doesn't make sense because have they been in contact prior to this or not? Because they ask each other things, how's my father or stuff like that. But so it's kind of like it's a conversation like they haven't seen each other for a year and a half. But at the same time, how does Zhou know exactly where to go and what Colonel Moon now looks like if they haven't been in contact with each other?
And are they friends? Because he is a colonel in the army, and I think in a North Korean army it's quite, a military regime.
They're like best friends
and
forever.
they're like buddies. Like, hey, hi Moon, how are you?
Yeah, but Zhou seems to be like his assistant or something, or his henchman.
Yeah, but they hug each other when they see each other there? Yeah, so it's a bit weird, I think.
Yeah, it is weird.
A general hugging a assistant.
And they really explain everything thoroughly.
I've never been in the army, but I don't think they do those kind of things, right?
I don't know.
Okay. So, Graves unveils a new satellite called Icarus, which is able to focus solar energy on a small area and provide year-round sunshine for crop development. I never understood, by the way, how this folding out of the satellite works. To me, it looks like a big balloon kind of thing that pops up or something like that.
It looks like something in water.
Yeah, it looks really silly.
Like a parachute.
Luckily, it's the only thing that looks silly in this movie.
This is straight from Diamonds Are Forever, right? You need diamonds to put in a satellite, and then you have a giant laser from the sky. With exploding Chinese people that turn red.
I missed it. Yeah.
Oh, they missed that one as well.
They missed that one as well. Let it be light. What do you think of the music with the orchestra? It's like, very dramatic.
Yeah, it's so out of place, I think.
I think Bond should wear sunglasses. He's like
cool
Donald
people
Trump
don't wear
looking
sunglasses.
in the bright light.
Him and Jinx, they don't need and Graves, they don't need sunglasses.
Because you have to look in their eyes. Yeah,
they're all blind, but they don't need sunglasses.
Yeah, it does explain why Jinx once again sneaks out on Bond because
she's gone.
Yeah, he can't see it anymore probably because of the light.
Black spots in his eyes. What happened?
So after the demonstration, Bond uses his invisible Aston Martin to enter Graves' compound.
I was going to say, I don't know. I know if any of you guys ever heard like a cold V12 engine startup, but you can probably hear it like 5 blocks away. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Going stationary, go behind someone like 20 feet or 2 feet. It's just, go with it.
Yeah, but you just said that they used the Aston Martin. I think it was you, Don, who said it. That they use it quite well in Iceland. The
camouflage.
The fact that it is invisible. I don't think so. Why use a car to sneak behind a couple of villains driving in your car that is invisible? Everybody can hear you.
No,
it's just for
it's an electric car.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I always wonder how they filmed that with leaving the tracks. It's just I like the way they did that.
Probably put them in post-production.
Yeah, I assume so. But I think it's well done. Yeah, he uses the car later on again when he sneaks back to the
That begs another question, though. I just thought of that. Like, he drives through snow, but the snow doesn't have cameras on it. So shouldn't you just be seeing like 4 outlines of tires because the tires have snow in them? Technically.
Well, you're saying it doesn't work properly?
No, like just thinking about it for longer than the producers ever have. Like if you drive through something like the dirt or snow or mud or whatever, it leaves some smudges on your tires. So shouldn't you actually see like 4 snow outlined tires?
True. And another thing occurs to me. He leaves the car there and he picks it up like, I don't know, 12 hours later or something like that. And nobody bumps into the car.
No, not until he's in it.
And then, okay.
And not until Zhou is actually looking.
We need an invisible car. There are some issues with that. Don't worry.
Nobody's gonna notice.
Nobody's going to make a podcast about this 15 years from now.
So then there is a, strangely enough, German guard that finds...
Doesn't open his mouth.
Well, he speaks, you mean.
Well, you mean it's completely ADR?
He keeps his mouth closed and he's... Was mag du dan? But he doesn't open his mouth at all.
Why would Graves hire German guards?
It's Icelandic.
They speak German as well?
They speak German.
No, this is Icelandic.
Really?
Just like Dutch is also German.
Oh.
And the Korean is also not really Korean in this movie. And they make this mistake a lot in Bond movies.
But it was supposed to be Icelandic?
I don't know.
You're making it up.
Yeah.
It is German, right?
It is
he
German.
Is speaking German. This might be a nod to the novel that Drax has Germans working for him.
I think there were a
I
lot
think
of
you're
henchmen.
giving them more credit than they deserve for that
There
one.
were a lot of henchmen from Carver who were unemployed after he was killed.
Then he should have been bald and with a mustache. If they'd done that,
that would have been really nice. Really nice.
Yeah.
What I do like about this whole thing is everywhere you go, you see people walking around with cameras and microphones. Like it's all the media that is present there. I think that was kind of smart to add those to the scenery, to the background.
It is now, but
while there are people there with cameras and microphones, they start shooting at people with machine guns, which is not so smart.
It's part of the presentation.
Okay, Bond takes care of the guy who seems to be able to speak without opening his mouth. And then what I like is the getaway after this is that he is surprised by Miranda, who is suddenly defrosted. Yeah, I was thinking about this joke for hours. And I like the dialogue between the two of them.
Yeah, it's better than 90% of the jokes in the movie. So props to you.
Thank you. Okay. But I like the dialogue in this, and the way Brosnan, pulls his face when he says, "Come on, put your back into it."
Yeah, they've been gone for ages. Come on, keep going.
That's such a Bond thing to do.
But the next bit doesn't make any sense when they go to his bedroom.
We have to keep up the charade.
So now we have to have sex.
Yeah. So
why? Nobody sees what you're doing inside the room.
And she becomes totally naked and then says, "Oh, you're a 00."
Oh, and what happened in North Korea? Because that's very relevant to talk about right now. It doesn't really make any sense.
Something else on my mind.
I'm afraid you caught me with more than my hands up.
Well, he has been known to keep his tip up. So.
I like that he stashes away his gun under the pillow.
Yeah,
it's a Tomorrow Never Dies thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Nice little.
So, after some thorough debriefing, Bond leaves Miranda and uses his underwater breathing apparatus to enter the Graves Command Center.
Which he throws away.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I mean, he probably has to go back as well. So why not just keep it? And why throw it away?
He probably doesn't have a convenient pocket to put it into.
That's it. That's it.
Can I also, one thing which really bugs me about, the Bond character here is that Miranda gives him his gun, and this best 00 agent, the best secret agent in the world, doesn't notice that his gun is empty. Just want to put that out there. That really rubs me the wrong way. Or is it just the power of bonus that you forget something like that?
The funny thing is, when she hands him his gun, he is about to take out the clip. It looks like he's about to take out the clip to check it, but then for some reason he puts it away in his holster.
Yeah, that bugs me too. Yeah,
Isn't it in a novel Diamonds Are Forever where he's practicing his aim on his hotel room and he's like, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm an inch too high," and he puts in the clip and then now it's okay because of the weight difference.
Could be.
It's also in Jeffrey Deaver's Carte Blanche. When he needs to shoot the guy. And
by the weight, he knows.
Yeah, by the way, he knows it's blanks instead of.
We skipped where Jinx is abseiling.
No. In the meantime, Jinx is abseiling and then captured by some.
So she's electrocuted by 100,000 volts. Doesn't do too much harm, really.
No,
it should be okay.
Still looks pretty fine to me.
But she needs to climb onto the bulb thing. She needs to climb the entire thing to get up to the highest point to
then get down.
Why?
Because she's a very good NSA agent, probably.
The hatch is...
And she wants to show off.
No, because she takes off the pane of glass.
Yeah. There's no hatch.
Because
It looks cool. Say
she
something
has to
positive,
be-
Tyler.
She
Please
has
say
to
something
be
positive.
right above the
I'll
bridge.
say something positive.
Yes.
In about 10 minutes time, Bond will use that cable that's still hanging there to upsile up, which is probably upsile. Well, anyway, and then he uses that same cable to
run down the
Then dome.
outside
Yeah,
of the dome. Yeah.
which is
an awesome stunt.
yeah, but it's the distance is a lot bigger.
Yeah.
No, it's a
outside.
perfect fit.
No, Pythagorean will say differently. But
I love the music here as well. It's very high-techy, investigative
Yep.
little theme when Jinx goes in and stuff. We don't get too much of that in the modern Bond movies anymore. Not the snooping around stealthy music.
We do get, when Jinx is tied down, some fantastic dialogue once again between her and Zhou.
Your mama.
That's
That one.
probably the worst line of the
Yeah.
entire movie, I think.
And she can't deliver it, no. And
Is it
Mr.
worth it,
Kill
I, Mr.
doesn't
Kill?
help either.
a laser.
Yeah. And then he brings the laser right next to her head. And then for some reason he waits 5 minutes.
He goes to the toilet because
he goes away.
He's
yeah.
away.
He waits for Bond to show
Yeah.
up.
Just
No, this is poor editing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because as soon as he's ready to cut her head off, then Bond still needs to cut the laser through the eyes and everything.
Yeah.
And needs to swim over there. And it takes ages
Bad
for him to
editing.
get there. And
Yeah.
then he gets there. And Mr. Kill's gone.
Gone.
Hiding behind a corner or whatever.
Yeah.
Just-
makes sense.
no, doesn't make any sense.
But what makes sense is a great freaking dancing laser battle, right?
They have this weird remote, and immediately the moment you pick up the remote, you see 10 or 20 buttons, but you know exactly which button to push.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it isn't to turn it off. It isn't the big red button that's on top.
No, it's a random black
it's-
one
exactly.
of the black buttons without any markings whatsoever.
Yeah, you have a big green button, a big red button, and then some random buttons on it. And to stop the lasers, you press button number 7.
I guess
she has
that's-
once again, I'm going to be half the woman I used to be, or those kind of stupid lines.
Yeah,
Just
she's
cut her in
acting
half.
like a child.
Yeah, I do like the way Kill dies.
That is good.
And the lasers are really selective, right? Because they go all over the place, but they cut only the things that are convenient for the script, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
And they cut Bond as well, doesn't he?
a bit,
He gets one
Yeah.
burn mark
Yeah.
somewhere, yeah.
not too bad. And then they cut off his hand, Kill's hand.
Yep.
I like that
I'm
one.
going to
That made
say
me chuckle.
something that is probably, with what's still to come, might be a bit controversial. I think this is the worst scene in the movie.
This laser.
The laser.
The laser fight.
Why?
Because it's...
Have you
because
seen the rest of the film?
I have seen the rest of the film, yeah.
It's definitely a low
Not
point.
intoxicated. Why? Because it takes quite a long time. It looks terrible. It makes no sense at all. The diamond mine is fake, but the lasers are real, and they're doing what exactly? This to me looks like
added stuff for no reason.
yeah, and it
It's
looks like
filler.
episode 2 of Star Wars. And well, let's put it mildly, that's not one of my favorite Star Wars movies. But it looks about the same as that factory scene.
Yeah.
In the end of the film.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. No, it has no purpose.
No.
They just had to get rid of Mr. Kill, but don't put the guy in there in the first place.
Okay, then we go to the confrontation between Bond and Graves, and he tells him to die another day.
I do like that little scene. I don't know. Pierce looks very cool with his sweater and closing the thing with the gun.
I agree with
He
you.
looks so-
yeah, I
so
like this scene as well.
confident,
The
so-
conversation between him
Was
and
it
Graves.
painful? The gene therapy.
So you
Oh,
live to
you have
die
no
another
idea.
day.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
And I like the fact that Miranda is there as well. And,
Yeah.
and later on, Zhou enters the room and gives him a punchline.
But Miranda enters and she points her gun at Graves, just for us as the audience.
Why?
Yeah, just for us as the audience.
Why wouldn't she immediately point her gun at Bond?
Exactly. Hello, James. Surprise.
I'm with Gustav.
Yeah.
Maybe because
And
To make
especially
him feel comfortable.
Draves likes theatrics.
because Gustav Graves is like, oh, so she isn't who she turns out to be, or who she
They're
seems
just
to be.
play acting for the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
this is where I'd like to read out part of the dialogue from the novelization, which is kind of nice. It's the turning of Miranda.
Okay.
There's this chapter in which you get the background on Gustav Graves.
Yeah, chapter 18 or something.
Yes, way in the back of the book. What happened when he fell down the waterfall in the beginning when shit hit the fan. That stuff with the hovercraft. And this is a little scene from that, just a dialogue between Moon and Miranda. And it goes like this. I can guarantee that you will receive the gold medal, Moon told her. Really? How? He had her attention. That's my secret. What do I have to do? Sleep with you? No, nothing so crude, he said, reaching out and stroking her golden hair. My price for this service would be your undying loyalty. You already have that. Even though I'm a military radical in a communist country? Oddly enough, I find that appealing, she answered. I can't read this with a straight face. It's such bad dialogue.
Really
it doesn't
bad.
make any sense.
It would have fit in great in the film then.
Oddly enough, I find it appealing.
It doesn't make any sense. Benson had no idea how to fix this. There's no excuse.
No.
Wasn't it you, Anthony, who said that it was the most thankless job there was, writing a novelization of a bad movie script?
Yeah, it must
Poor
have been
guy.
horrible.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it in there. Hopefully nobody knows this.
They haven't been doing it, right? Because they started doing it again in License to Kill.
GoldenEye.
And then the
World's Not Enough.
There's one from The Spy Who Loved Me as well, which is
And
rather
Moonraker.
good.
Yeah.
Moonraker as
But
well.
those were by the screenplay writer, Christopher Wood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the
Those are
Spy
rather
Love Me
good,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they stopped after dying.
Yep.
Because probably they also don't have a house writer anymore, like the one who just keeps the
No,
series
there
going.
isn't. No. Oh, well.
I like the way Bond escapes using the ring and the entire floor
the
made
ring
out
is
of
cool.
glass. Yeah. So then Bond runs and grabs the cable Jinx so conveniently left behind.
And he looks so cool. The one leg up, like, bye. I don't know, I like that.
He steals Graves' ice speeder and runs off.
Yeah, and that ruins it again.
And now I think it's better if somebody else just tells what happens.
So,
It's time for our rankings. Thank you for listening.
this is where the CGI fest starts.
This is the worst scene of the entire Bond franchise.
So
to
he's
me.
speeding over the ice. Icarus is activated. The Korean generals are there to look what happens. And then for some reason, the fire beam or the column of fire chases Bond over the ice. And Vlad, this got great laughs in the cinema. He walks up to Graves and says, "Hey, boss, you beat your time."
Okay.
He actually looks pleased.
That's a redeeming factor for this scene.
And then Gustav Graves looks at him like, "You fuck off." But what I don't understand is when he's hanging on the ice cliff, why draw the line? Why not just burn Bond completely with the sunbeam, the Icarus beam?
I don't know, show the generals the power. You can just cut off a piece of ice.
No, I would just burn him.
Hello, Mr. Graves. So you want to be a Bond villain, right? Okay, that's very nice. Okay, cool. There are a few things to keep in mind if you want to be a Bond villain. First of all,
Don't kill Bond.
don't kill Bond in a straightaway manner. Just give him a possibility of escape. Right? Well, that's about it. Bye.
But this is, I think, the updated version of the Moonraker novel, where part of the Dover Cliffs, the white Dover Cliffs, explode and fall on Bond. Here we have the ice cliffs falling on Bond. I think that's how you justify this whole scene.
Okay.
Yeah, but
We'll just take that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's better if you just don't use too many words.
I
for
really
this
think
scene.
Brosnan tries. He tries to do the best he can, convincing what is happening.
You can't
but
complain, Brosnan.
he must be thinking, what the hell am I doing here?
There is this great bit in the Everything or Nothing documentary. I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
It's like, okay, Brosnan, we're going tsunami kite surfing today. Go ahead. Then he's like, I can't believe it, tsunami kite surfing. This is.
But just imagine that you're Brosnan, and there was this huge premiere with all the old Bond actors present and a lot of actors and actresses
2002.
from the previous
Royal
Bond films.
Albert Hall.
Exactly. And you're sitting there, and you know this scene is going to come up. And then it's there.
He might
you
not
watch
have,
it.
he might not have seen it beforehand.
I'm just guessing that Roger Moore was right in front of him and he was looking behind.
Giving him
What the hell are you
biggest
doing?
eyebrow raise in
exactly.
all of history.
But everybody thinks, okay, strange.
What is this?
Timothy Dalton says, okay, this is not the kind of Bond film I made.
It's become pastiche.
Pierce Brosnan went in
Poor Pierce.
6'3" and he came out 5'5".
I think so.
What's this?
Terrible.
But what I found very laughable, maybe even more than this entire ice thing, is the shot you get of Miranda, Graves, and Vlad standing
All
there,
posing, yeah.
all posing, looking
at-
very
Yeah.
serious, and they're saying global warming is a terrible thing.
Yep.
That's such a ridiculous thing to
Yeah.
put in there. It doesn't make any sense. Neither does the rest of the scene. But
The one redeemable thing is, if you look away, you've got this great Bond theme again. It just goes on full, like, up to 11, up to 20. It
It's
just,
the only thing you can do, I think, with such a sequence.
yeah,
Just, you know,
like
go over the
Arnold
hill.
does everything that he can to save it.
I love the music, yeah.
Yeah.
In the behind the scenes documentary, the persons who are working on the CGI kite surfing tsunami scene, they're like, yeah, one of the most difficult things there is to do on a computer is water. Well, yes, you obviously shown us that. Thank you for that.
I say it looks more like a giant water bed actually than water.
It didn't age well.
All right, then we get a little scene with a locked up Jinx. She gets a surprise visit from Zhou and Frost.
Kicks him in the face.
Face. And after that, they all prepare to leave by plane. We see Bond again. He steals a snow scooter and heads back to the Ice Palace.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes.
Because we get Jinx, who is the equal of James Bond, right? She's an NSA agent, can do anything, everything that Bond can, is a hero as well, best agent of the NSA, and has to be saved by Bond not once, but twice in this movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Just let her escape herself. Why does she need to be rescued by Bond twice in 20 minutes
I
time?
agree with you. Yeah, she should have tried to get out via the window or something. She should have escaped by her own accord,
Yeah.
and not turn into the victim like Bond girls usually do.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Yeah.
Also, the way she uses the ashtray or something like that to hit the door,
Yeah.
looks really strange.
Yeah.
But
If only she were as clever as Christmas Jones, she could wire
Yes.
the door and open it.
This is the
Yes.
moment you're going to miss. You missed Christmas Jones, right?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I really would have liked it if she would show up and say, "I can open that door for you."
She doesn't exactly take a degree in nuclear physics.
I do like Frost
now.
though.
I just think sort of a buddy film with Jinx and Christmas Jones. Now that would have been brilliant.
I
Let's
asked
move
you
on.
this at the start of this podcast. Like, would you have liked to see the Jinx spin-off movie? I really wouldn't have mind if they used the Bond universe and the Bond world and the way they make their movies to make a great spy thriller with a woman spy, like an MI6 agent or a CIA agent or whatever.
Set within the same universe.
Yeah, same within the set within the same world and the way they make their movies and the great stunts and I really wouldn't mind that. It's a lot better than making the next James Bond a woman, for instance.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I would really like to see a Felix Leiter TV show on Netflix. That would be great.
could it be a Felicia Leiter then?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Oh well. One
Let's
can
get
hope.
back to Die Another Day. I like the scene where Bond, he heads back to the Ice Palace and his Aston Martin is still there.
He
Yeah.
crouches behind it.
The car has a massive battery. I mean, it's been on camouflage mode for 12 hours, but it still
works.
starts first time you press the button. Yeah. Very impressive.
And then the bad guy on a scooter, bumps into the car
Yeah. And then Zhou reacts immediately. Yeah.
with his gadget later.
That would have been a great gag actually. Like the car just sitting there, not going, and then the guy in the skidoo hits it and then it starts.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
So we get the chase on the ice between the Jaguar and the Aston Martin.
Which, of course, if you're in North Korea and you've got a whole bunch of cars, the only car you take to Iceland is a car with literally no roof.
But it looks cool, though.
Yeah, There's a lot of times where they kind of play off the thing with the villain being a match for Bond or the henchman being a match for Bond, but also having a tricked out car is taking it a bit too far for me. That just takes
it's one
off
of
the
the
novel.
few things that I like an awful lot in this movie, of course, like I've been saying the entire time. I really like it because Bond shoots a missile at him, and he just shoots a missile back, and the missiles meet in midair.
I don't mind the villain having a tricked out car, but I do mind the fact that it's also like inconspicuous and as high tech and very covertly done as the same. Like it literally could have come out of Q's workshop on the next platform.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like just having them on the side. But yeah, I don't know.
But it does give.
I still love it to death. It's a great scene and a great car, but
I like the bit with the ejection seat.
That's great fun. And Brosnan really sells it.
Yeah.
The only thing is that just the shot before that, when it's sliding on its roof, it really looks like it's being towed.
Probably is.
Because it does, but it's so obvious because it doesn't.
It doesn't have momentum.
No, yeah, exactly.
The thing that always bugs me is the fact that it lands perfectly still on its roof. I don't know if you guys ever tried lifting a V12 engine, but that's quite heavy, especially because it's two very old engines welded together in that Aston. So it should have been nose down, but that doesn't look cool. So
I tried it a couple of days ago, and you're right. Yeah, it was quite tough.
Yeah. You pulled it off, yeah.
Yeah, in the end, yes.
Just stuff like that. Just it's a very stupid thing to annoy me. But the fact that
I'm glad I couldn't say anything about the poker inconsistencies in Casino Royale because it's
a minor thing, but.
If you're Zhou and you're chasing Bond, and then all of a sudden you see Bond turn around and shoot missiles at you, I can imagine that you also start shooting missiles. But then if Bond turns around again, why don't you just keep on firing missiles? Why do you also put your missiles away? Just keep shooting. You finally have a clear shot.
Maybe
now.
you run out of missiles.
But that's a silly shot, isn't it? Brosnan puts his Bond puts his missiles away, so Zhou puts his missiles away. Why? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't put his back into it, eh?
And so then the car chase continues inside the melting ice palace.
I love the bit before, like, Bond sees Icarus being shot down at the ice palace. He's like, all right, enough fun and games, and he just floors it and hits the car out the way. Like, yeah, okay, off you go. Nice playtime, but now I gotta go.
What do you think of the chase inside the palace?
That's probably the best use of the palace yet.
Yeah, I thought it looked very cheap. and
It was a last-minute decision by the director.
Everything's melting.
I love how he drives into the skidoos and they just both fly up into the pillars.
It seems like they're driving through that palace for hours. They just keep on driving in circles, and I assume they're going up and up and up and up.
Yeah,
but as soon as
were there that many levels within the ice palace?
No, I don't think so. No, as soon as he
just one, I thought,
barges out again, it's like there.
And then he heads for Jinx and decides to cozily take her to a hot tub.
Well, he finally plays off the whole cloaking device thing.
Oh, yeah.
But again, I love that one. I love that scene.
But the car's standing right there. Just shoot him. Don't barge into him. Yeah, but don't try to ram him.
They always do that. It's the classic villain being
it's
killed
the same
by
list.
his own.
You can't really kill Bond.
Yeah. Can I pose a question? It will start with our most uttered word in this episode. Why? Why, if you have been having a chase on ice on a frozen lake, why in the very last second of that chase do you use your
spikes?
Your spikes in your tires for the first time?
Because you have to look cool for the bad guy.
Okay.
Show off your car.
Thanks, Martin. Carry on.
Fair enough, yeah.
I really love this scene when he's just up there. You see Pierce, like you can always see by the tilted angle of the camera. And then he uncloaks it again, and then there's the little Bond riff again. That's for me, that is the stuff what I want to see in a Bond movie.
Yeah, that's good.
Or at least 12-year-old me or 11-year-old me wanted to.
Does Zhou get a good death, you think?
It's a bit sudden.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that he's being like impaled by diamonds again. Well, in front of him.
But it happens quite. Bond just shoots and then the thing comes down and that's it.
It kind of looks like Majesty's with the blood. The gun
that
that falls into
it's one of the few times you actually see lots of blood and stuff.
He had lots of guts. Quickly, let's get to Jinx. Save her.
Yeah, no, let's forget about Jinx. He goes into hot tub. She's
I really
still alive.
don't understand why he breaks his own
front windscreen. No.
Yeah. Exactly. Why would you do that? If you
to get her in.
To get her in.
Yeah, but why not
quickly.
wait 5 seconds for the water to disappear? Like 2 more seconds.
Yeah, or just open your door and get her in that way. Because
he's in a hurry. He has to save her.
He's in a hurry and he has to drive back
thing,
to 3 days without a windshield.
Yep.
The other thing I don't get is why. The other thing I don't get is why everything is melting except for that one single room. Like she was apparently like up high in the ice panel, so shouldn't like the ceiling of that room have been one of the first things to go? I mean, if water can come in, that means there's a hole
Because
somewhere.
reasons.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, something else now. Trivia
ready.
round number
I'm ready.
4.
Oh,
I'm ready.
okay.
Please, guys, grab your paper and pencils. 6 questions.
Oh,
6.
my Lord.
Oh, wow. You really outdone yourself.
Thank you, Don. Number 1. On his flight to London, Bond is reading an article about Gustav Graves. We can briefly see who the author of this article is.
Are you serious?
I already wrote it down, guys.
Yep, I am serious. Okay, question number 2. What was originally the character's name of Miranda Frost? Question 3. In which Ian Fleming novel is Death for Breakfast a chapter title? Question number 4. The fencing sequence was shot at the Reform Club in London. This location is also used in another Bond film. Which Bond film is that? Question 5. Michael G. Wilson once again has a cameo appearance in a Bond film. This time he's an American general. What's his name? And the final question. The title, Die Another Day, is from a poem. In the poem it says, "But since the man that runs away lives to die another day." Who's the author of that poem? It's a difficult one, I know.
Oh, this is a difficult one. Okay.
Man, you really
Yeah, okay.
tough.
All right.
I have half. of them.
The answer to question number 1, the author of the article,
Greg Wilson.
Greg Wilson.
Oh, I had Michael G. Wilson.
David McKellen, no idea.
It's Greg Wilson.
I knew that.
That's cool.
Yeah. The character's name of Miranda Frost was supposed to be
Gala Brand.
Gala Brand.
Brand.
Yeah, so 1 for Tyler, 1 for Don. Number 3, the Ian Fleming novel, Death for Breakfast, a chapter title.
You really stumped me. No idea.
On our Majesties?
Yes, it's Majesty's.
Okay.
I haven't read them yet. Well, all of them.
So a point for Tyler.
Ha!
The fencing sequence. The Reform Club was also in another Bond film. Which Bond film?
Thunderball?
No.
I have no idea.
Doctor No?
Goldfinger.
No. It's Quantum of Solace. This is the scene where M meets the foreign secretary.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
cool.
okay.
When you
Yeah, the hallway. Yeah.
she walks there together with Tanner, and then they have the.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's
It's the same. It's the same hallway as where
and I
the
th- I
guy with the
thought that
Rasta haircut.
I thought that was Czech Republic.
Czechoslovakia.
That's
Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Michael G. Wilson. The name of his character is General Chandler.
Huh.
No.
No.
I had
General
General
Kenobi.
Troutman.
No.
The only general I know.
Okay.
No point
Then
for
the
General
last
Kenobi.
one. This would be quite something. General Kenobi, you said?
Hello there.
No, I'm sorry. The answer, the author of the poem.
I went for Tennyson. No
Rilke?
idea.
A.E. Houseman.
You wrote it down, right? You have to.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had it somewhere. I had it somewhere. yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. A.E. Houseman. So, how many points do you have now at the moment, Martin?
I'm with 0.5.
0.5.
Yep.
Very good.
4.5.
4.5 for Tyler.
Plus the 17.
Oh, you mean total?
We still have a bonus round at the end, so there's
But you mean how many points total?
Does it consist of license plates?
something like that, yes. 14 points for Don.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna leave Iceland, and we're going to an American command bunker in South Korea, where they meet up with M, Falco, and a general with the name
Chandler.
Very good.
Yeah. I learned something today.
So Bond and Jinx decide to head for the baddies on switchblades.
Just one tiny little thing, completely like unnecessary, but I really like Bond and Salmon's outfit here. The overcoat look very cool.
Oh, yeah.
And this is, like I said, this is also why I really would have loved Colin Salmon to play like another 00 agent, which I also feel is a very good one for the discussion of if Bond could ever be played by an African American. I think, make him a 002, 3, 4, whatever. I think that would work great.
I would love to see Adrian Lester as a 00.
And we also get some reusage of Tomorrow Never Dies footage,
Yeah,
right?
it's the firing of the missile.
Yeah.
Straight out of Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah.
I like it.
Just
That it's
mirror,
like,
isn't it?
leave it on automatic.
All right. So Bond and Jinx arrive on a North Korean airbase. Something to say about the switchblades scene?
No.
We all love it, of course.
I was going to say, you've already tried surfing a giant wave in, so why not just go with switchblading?
It's unnecessary.
Okay.
But, it's
So,
okay.
They were going to take the
what I
Thunderbird
like-
6 next time.
What I like when they're at the airbase is that he tries to take him out with a sniper rifle. It's almost like the three blind mice trying to take out Bond when he walks into the hotel in Dr. No, but they can't get a clear shot. Probably seeing things that aren't there. Am I?
And they're covered up by some sort of camouflage netting, and they take it off because
Because they know they're about to run into the plane.
Because we can't see them as an audience.
Oh, right.
I also find it strange they have like the coolest gadgets ever in the movie, and then they have to cut the wire with
I was going to say,
small scissors.
where's the Omega
That's
watch?
effective,
Just go
though.
zip
Yeah.
and gone.
Yeah.
Again, this is obvious set work.
Yep. But they managed to get into the plane on time.
Because Bond and Jinx can run as fast as a plane taking off. No problem.
Can't you?
No, almost.
Okay.
Oh, you're not a 00 yet.
Keep at it.
Yeah.
So we end up in a big, bad Antonov airplane, and we see Gustav Graves alongside.
No. It's Iron Man.
It's
Robocop. I wrote it down here. It's Robocop.
Robocop.
As a matter of fact, when I was sitting in the cinema, I still remember it till this day in 2002, when that scene came up. A friend next to me said, "Hey, Robocop is in the movie as well." I said, "Yeah." He's not a Bond fan, so he was laughing out loud the entire film.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So he and his father have a scene in which he basically tells his plan to blow up the minefield. So yeah, Graves starts destroying the minefield between the Koreas. And when Moon tries to stop his mad son, the son kills
He
him
gets
instead.
killed in slow-mo.
Sweet, it's sad. But Graves doesn't seem to mind, though.
No.
Quickly over the death of his father.
Yep,
yeah.
just take the metal and
Fine,
then charming trinket.
And then we basically get more or less two fight scenes that are simultaneously taking place.
So Jinx has
Jinx and,
taken control of the plane.
Yeah.
The pilot went to the loo, never came back.
Yeah,
And
but
then-
is that so? Because I thought the guy that like pushed Bond away was that pilot guy coming back.
No, because the scenes
Yeah,
were the
maybe,
other way
yeah,
around,
yeah.
right?
Like no, the guy walks out of the cockpit, so Jinx can get in, and then Bond wants to shoot Graves, but then get pushed away. So I thought that was the pilot coming back in.
Yeah,
from
could
that
be.
way.
Could be.
I don't know. I've never paid attention if it actually looks like the same guy, but I thought that was the
they all look
explanation.
alike. Sorry.
However, we still get two fights, one between the Bond girls.
So if you are Miranda Frost and you want to get rid of Jinx, why don't you just cut off her head? Why do you want to let her stand up, walk towards the dojo, and then try to cut off her head?
Yep.
Why?
Because of reasons.
I do like her
Because I'm not
outfit,
cool
though.
to killing
But
cold
Miranda.
blood.
Yeah.
Oh, she looks good.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is
Yep.
nice.
Not
I actually posted this on Twitter.
Doing something positive here.
Yeah, I posted on Twitter. Suppose that Miranda Frost and Jinx are having a sword fight. Who do you want to win? And 75% of the voters said Miranda Frost.
I concur.
Yeah, I agree.
And on the other side, we have the fight between Bond and Graves.
We have some Goldfinger stuff going on. People being sucked out of airplanes.
Yep.
Flood
Yeah.
quickly disappears. Like, whoosh, oh,
Yep.
he was gone.
And in the meantime, Icarus is blowing up the minefield as
Yeah,
well.
and the plane and everything.
And
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So what do you guys think of those two
Well,
fights?
When Miranda Frost is holding a sword to Jinx's neck,
Yeah.
she tells her to put the plane on autopilot.
Yeah.
Jinx does, and also...
Then kill her.
No, but Jinx puts the plane on autopilot and also navigates it
Towards the beam. Yeah.
Which I think is a smart move.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think...
From her point of view, yeah.
Like, let's at least destroy the plane with us in it. I think that's a nice thing.
Actually, as soon as Graves is being blown up by the engine, the beam is disappeared. It's out. But Icarus is still up there.
Yeah.
But it's connected to his suit, right?
Yeah, but you can still take control of Icarus and the world.
Oh, okay.
It's still there.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
there.
No, wait, because it collided with one of the GoldenEye satellites. So both of them are destroyed.
That's a shame.
okay.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like the fight between Jinx and Frost.
Yeah.
Although I think Frost should have. Well, Frost is an excellent fencer, right? So an excellent sword fighter.
She won the gold medal.
Yeah, so she should have a piece of cake with this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can read your every move,
Read this.
bitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Just kill her.
I like the Gustav Graves. Look, parachutes for the both of us. Whoops.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I love that one.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
But I don't like the fight between them.
No,
It's a terrible
no.
fight.
Bonds is also electrocuted with 100,000 volts.
Yeah, and still.
Compare this one to the GoldenEye fight.
But what I do
idea.
like is that Brosnan gets in his Roger Moore double kick. He pulls himself up and he gives a double kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's typical Roger Moore. Very nice. Yeah.
In real life, if two guys would be fighting, none of them would ever do a double kick, right?
Probably not. No.
So, in the end, Frost is dead, Graves is dead.
I always think of Incredibles, which actually came after this film.
Yeah.
With what's her name? The tiny
The-
woman,
no idea.
Edna Mode. She has this whole speech about how a hero should not have a cape. No capes. Remember Dynamo? And some sort of superhero had an accident because he got stuck with his cape.
You need a new suit. That much is certain.
A new suit? Oh, where the heck am I going to get a new
You
suit?
can't! It's impossible! I'm far too busy, so ask me now before I again become sane.
Wait, you want to make me a suit?
You push too hard, darling, but I accept. It will be bold, dramatic,
Yeah.
heroic.
Yeah, something classic, like Dyna Guy. Oh, he had a great look. Oh, the cape and the boots.
No capes.
Isn't that my decision?
Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man, good with kids.
Listen.
November 15th of 58. All was well, another day saved, when his cape snagged on a missile thing.
Thunderhead was not the brightest bulb.
Stratogale, April 23rd, 57. Cape caught in a jet turbine.
You can't generalize about this.
Meta-Man, express elevator. Dyna-Guy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No kicks.
So maybe the Incredibles stole that from Die Another Day. Could
I also
be.
So at least something
no,
good came
like
out
the
of the
line
film.
doesn't make sense. Like Time to Face Gravity, but it has nothing to do with gravity itself.
And no, it
'Cause it's
doesn't.
a
No, Time to
suction-
Face Gravity.
Yeah, 'cause
okay,
it's-
then he flies off.
It's suction, yeah.
But his suit can give an electric shock of 10,000, no,
himself?
100,000
To
volts.
himself.
But if you press a button, it all of a sudden turns on himself for no reason.
Vlad really ain't a grave secretly, deep down.
Yeah.
And let's return quickly or shortly to the literary masterpiece that is the novelization of Die Another Day. In the novelization of Die Another Day, Miranda Frost is still alive when Bond meets up with Jinx. And she's like,
Yeah.
don't you want to know why I betrayed you, why I did what I did? And Bond is like, no, I don't care. you can die
That's true.
today.
So Bond and Jinx managed to escape the crashing airplane by dropping out a helicopter out of the plane. So in a film that features tsunami, surfing, invisible cars, and Madonna, this looks actually quite normal.
all the day's work. All the line of work, yeah.
They put all that in front to make this look believable.
Believable.
All right.
It got a good laugh in the cinema with the Porsche
the
car
cars,
sticking out of the ground.
But if you look at those cars, they could have just got in one of those cars and just dropped down because they look quite good and probably with an airbag and a good safety harness. You would
They're
probably
also,
survive as well.
they're also defying gravity, so
Yeah.
they're both rear engine cars landing with the nose down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just me going. I really like if you do stuff like that, just at least get gravity, just get physics right. Come on, it's not that hard.
I kind of wish that Bond would shout as soon as Jinx is saying, "It looks like we're gonna go down together." He would just shout out, "Let's get to the chopper!"
That would have been great.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
And again, a shout out to David Arnold for the second the engine goes, just blasting out the Bond theme in full. It's just goosebumps. Even still, like now, 17 years later, still.
And then we go quickly back to London, where Moneypenny gets a surprise visit by Bond.
Yeah, is this really the way how a virtual reality training program for 00 agents works?
It's programmed. I was gonna say, what kind of mind did Q have?
Like if Moneypenny puts it on, and all of a sudden she
It's a
is
mind control thing.
Moneypenny with a horny James Bond sneaking up on her. All right, okay.
So it's more of a mind control thing.
I do like the look on the face of John Cleese.
It's
really good.
You look really cool.
There's the line a lot of people don't get. It's like rather hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's always like
Yeah,
people
it's
always
very-
chuckling and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked it. I mean, it doesn't every Bond fan like think like what if Bond and Moneypenny actually got together once?
Yeah, well,
like not in a Skyfall way, but in an actual good way.
It suits the film.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Some people have a big issue with this, but
It brings a smile to my face.
Yeah, and
I think Moneypenny deserves it after
again
40 years.
the novelization. Cleese is or Q says, referring to the difficulty level of the training sequence. It's quite hard, isn't it? How many did you get? Like how many enemies did you kill? And Moneypenny comes back with just the one.
So in the final scenes, we see Bond and Jinx in a ridiculously beautiful place, having fun with some conflict diamonds and naughty dialogue.
Yeah, that dialogue. Can you leave it in for a while? No, I'll have to take it out. Oh, but it's so big. Yeah, no, it's smaller than mine, and it's up.
It's like some Sweet 16 film, right? That's cringe.
With a capital C.
But I still prefer this dialogue to the
Madonna
song
soundtrack.
at the end credits.
That's even more techno-ish than the original version of Madonna.
Weird mix.
Yeah.
I really don't like it.
Yeah, I was about
Terrible.
to say one of the greatest things of this movie is that it ends, but then it ends with that.
Yeah. So before we go to our final analysis, I have one last trivia round.
Yes.
Oh, man.
And I'm going
Yes.
to go for 5 points for each answer that is correct, because I want to give Tyler and Martin a chance to beat you, Don.
Okay, here
Do
we
you know
go.
what the questions are?
But it's slightly
know me?
different. It's slightly different from the previous rounds because it's dialogue time.
Oh God.
Dearie me.
So
You
I
have to write things down?
No, you don't have to write things
Okay.
down. I have 2 lines of dialogue for each of you. I'm gonna read out.
So wait a minute, I can win by half a point, right?
You can.
So what do I have to do? We have to give you the next line?
Yes, I will read a certain sentence, and then please tell me what comes directly after this line.
I always go blank.
Who wants to go first?
Oh, I've got nothing to win, so why not?
Very good, Martin. Here comes number 1. Just to help you settle a score, Zhou killed 3 of your men.
Oh God, I know when it's said and who says it, but I have no idea how it ends. It's with Zhou on the rooftop talking about Zhou and about.
No, it's in the hotel room.
It's in the hotel room.
I think it's with Chang.
It's a line Bond delivers.
No, I'm blank and no idea.
You get me into North Korea, I'll take care of him for you.
Can I say one more positive thing about this movie?
Yeah.
When Bond gets his plane ticket and his passport from Chang, Chang says, "When you meet Zhou, say goodbye to him from us." I like that line.
Yeah.
I think it's funny.
With pleasure.
You're gonna have the second one, Martin. Give me the old firing range any day, Quartermaster.
Do I? No, like I said, I always blank on these kind of stuff. It's
Yes,
So
but
like
it's called
this
the
is-
future, so get
yeah.
used to it. That's the response from Q. All right,
I'll go next
Tyler.
to make it difficult on you. So I will
Thank
be up
you.
half a point,
That's good.
and I'll probably flunk the first 2.
Do you believe in bad luck?
Well, let's say my relationships don't seem to last.
Very good.
Wow.
Let's just say my relationships don't seem to last. 5
Excellent.
points for you, Tyler.
All right.
Okay, second one.
Are you starting to get nervous, Don?
No, I actually
I
don't
missed the
want to
kill.
draw the next film, so I don't like to if you win.
You might.
If the Americans don't run, Icarus will destroy them.
And my hovercrafts will float right over them.
There's something with nuclear weapons or something.
Japan is a buck waiting to be squashed.
Right, yeah. All right.
You have difficult quotes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, bring it
Done.
on.
The name is Bond. No, I'm just kidding. Are you a gambling man, Mr. Bond?
No.
The stakes are right.
Okay, good.
Okay, last one. Oh, but there have been compensations.
Yeah. It's with stumbling through life, something like that, or being clueless. I don't know.
Like watching you flail around in your ignorance.
Yeah, that gist of it. No.
So, it's 5 points extra for you, Tyler.
Well done.
Yeah.
But in the end, Don, you
9.5.
are the winner of this trivia round.
Thank you,
for Die
thank
Another Day.
you.
Congratulations.
And the prize is that you can pick the next film. But before we do that, the final analysis of the film, Die Another Day. Now, if you have to rank Die Another Day on a scale from 1 to 10, what is your verdict? Who wants to go first?
I'd like to briefly tell you a little bit about how I watched this film for the first time, because it influences the way I rank it as well. It was back in 2002. It came out in November, I think, in the UK. But in the Netherlands, they decided to postpone the film until January 2003 because they didn't want it to compete to Two Towers, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. I was already deprived of my Bond film by an extra year because there were 3 years between The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day. And I really did not want to wait until 2003.
You went to Antwerp.
So I went to London.
Oh, really?
I went to London during the Christmas holiday, and I saw it there twice in the cinema. I also saw Two Towers, by the way, but I also saw this twice, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know, I can see all the things that are wrong with it, and I agree with you, Tyler. We say many times, we say in this podcast, why do they do these things? But there are quite a few Bond films I enjoy less. So I'm going to give it a 6. It's a pass for me.
6 for you, Don.
Yeah.
Okay. Martin?
Well, to recap, the way I always tell a lot of friends when they ask me, like, they hear it's a bad Bond film, I say, yeah, it's a bad Bond film, but it's one of the best bad Bond films you'll get. As we said, the CGI, the acting, the script, and everything is awful, but it is tremendous fun for the most part of it.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoy every single time I watch it. The campness, it's just sort of like a 2 hours of greatest hits. It doesn't quite get it past, but it gets a 5 from me. It's definitely a guilty pleasure.
A 5 for Martin. Tyler?
Be positive
Yes,
now, Tyler.
yes. I'll try.
No,
I'll try
you
to
can
be,
go. Let it go.
I'll try to be positive here. Well, at least it gets 1 point.
And another one?
No, this is my lowest of lows, and I don't find it enjoyable. It's one of the few movies that I don't like watching. So no, it's my 1.
For me, it's also my 1. It's I didn't like it when I first saw it in 2002. It improved a bit the first hour or so. But of all the Bond films, this is the one I like the least, so it's a 1.
We've decided that we all need at least 1 1 and 1 10. Would it have been a 1 if we hadn't had that rule?
If you just
you-
could
No.
give it any mark.
No,
Yeah.
then it would have been a 1.
What would you
Okay.
give it then?
Out
of 10?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
3 or 4 out of 10.
Because I heard you said during one of the intermissions today that you'd rather see Die Another Day than any generic action movies
Yeah.
from the early noughties.
Yeah, because it's still Bond.
Okay.
And there are still
And
things
it-
I like in
I
the
was gonna
film.
say, it does try heavily to be a generic action movie, but
So it got a total of 13 points?
Yeah, so
An average of?
3.3, something like that.
3.25, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not that high.
No, it's still higher than I expect. I didn't 6. I didn't
you're
expect
pretty,
that. I was gonna
pretty
think I
generous.
had the high mark, but
Yeah.
You sure, Don?
I looked at my list on my way over here, and
Okay.
I still stand by it. Yeah. Then
Okay.
I have, other films that I rank lower.
So, with that, we come to an end of our Die Another Day podcast, and it's time to pick the next one. Don, the
Can I have the
honor is for
cards,
you.
please?
You can have the cards.
Oh, the pressure.
What are you hoping for?
What if I pick the wrong one?
You can't.
I kind of like to
Unless
go
you
through
pick
Die Another Day again.
Oh, yeah.
But we took it out of the stack, right? Hopefully. It's going to be our 8th film review.
Yeah, so this was our
7th.
our
007.
007 podcast,
Yeah.
film review.
Yeah, okay,
Memorable.
I got one. Here we go. I'm going to sing the theme song. Goldfinger.
Okay.
Do, 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 do.
So, Goldfinger it
I
is.
have a beautiful picture of Shirley Eaton here, painted gold. Goldfinger next.
Goldfinger's next. All right. Should you have any questions or remarks in relation to this podcast or some of the other stuff we have produced, please let us know. You can visit us on the00files.com, email us at moneypenny@the00files.com, or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or on the street if you see us. That's it for now, guys. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
ciao.
Bye.
Bye.